welcome to Fit Dad's Podcast. I'm Brad Thompson. I'm joined as always by Mr. Ryan Dutton from R5 Fitness. Plus, we've got another amazing guest today. We've got Mark Pearson, who's had an incredible career in the salon industry, but in his recent journey into fitness, really shows his commitment into growth and self-improvement. So on this episode, we'll look back at Mark's first experiences in gyms in the 80s and 90s, if you're willing to share, Mark. Wow. His misconceptions about PT, and what it's like stepping into the gym as, admittedly, a guy who tells me you're not a gym guy. So we'll talk about business lessons, balancing family with fitness as a husband, and being a dad of two daughters, and not to mention how lager plays a vital role in the turbulent love for Man United.
It keeps it alive.
Keeps it alive.
Almost didn't let him in today when I found out he was a United fan. I had to grit my teeth a little bit, but I was under assurance that Mark's a top lad, you want to have him on, so...
But he's a top lad who's a Man United fan.
Not many of them, I tell you.
And this is fresh off, what, 2-1 Man U?
I know, couldn't have come at a worse time, could it? We just lost. So,
yeah.
Beautiful.
And look, Mark, thank you for joining us.
No problem, pleasure.
Yeah, I've worked closely with you for the past nearly 2 years now.
Nearly 2 years.
Nearly 2 years, and I love your stories, I love your chats, I love how hard you work, so just want to peel back the curtain, really. So, how are you today?
Yeah, good. Suffering a bit of cold, as you know, missed a session Friday, but like everybody else, you know, but yeah, feeling all right, yeah, good.
And again, I'm chuffed to have you on. As soon as I mentioned to Ryan that I'd love to have you on, because like I said in my intro, you'd probably describe yourself as not a gym guy. Is that a fair assumption?
No, absolutely, categorically not. I think the preconceptions of gym were very much set out, as the story I've told you before, you know, at the Fringe in Sheffield on Surrey Street, that 1980s kind of, you know, typical, you know, when the gyms became really popular, lots of like, what were them socks that they used to wear? Leggings and stuff like that. And they're all multicoloured and what have you, and Jane Fonda and that kind of thing. And I got invited by a client at Fringe, and at that time I was playing at a decent level of football. And I went, well, I don't really think it's my scene. No, I think you'll love it, Mark. You'll absolutely love it. And I go, right, so I get a couple of passes. So me and a pal of mine, Simon Hodgkinson, went down, and we got Adidas trainers on, Adidas shorts on, Adidas top, rolled in with his little free passes, lady on reception, beautiful, absolutely stunning, dressed head to toe looking like she's a gym person, band on head and all that, thinking, I'm not sure we're dressed for this, we're going to football training. Went upstairs and it was just literally like the poshest, nicest, done out place. Everybody looked beautiful, but the first thing I noticed, not one person was sweating. Nobody was sweating. Nobody was like kind of, it was all, what do I look like? I'm thinking, I am so, and everybody just turned around and no, it's that kind of like American Werewolf moment when you walk into that pub and everybody just stops and go, what are they wearing? Not who are these people? What have they come to do? What are they wearing? And we lasted about half an hour and my mate says, should we go to the pub? I went, yeah, go on, mate. So when the client came, said, did you go? And yeah. Well, we've got this club and that club, and we do this and we do that, and this social event. And I went, it's not really for me. I says, well, I just don't look good in that kind of gear. So I've got too big of thighs for it and stuff like that. And I just don't think it's really my scene. Oh, I think you'd have really fitted in. I went, no, I don't think I would. So that was my early onset of what a gym would look like. And I think coming out of then, you got that kind of Arnie phase with the bodybuilding phase. And then it's very much like, I don't really fit into that dynamic, really, what a gym's like. And I think everybody will go in there very much like it's like what my preconception of the Love Island gym now, and people stood there just, you know, they're just trying to look as big as they can possibly look type of thing. And regardless of what age I was at that particular time, I never kind of felt that I really fitted into any of them kind of stereotypes that my stereotype or a gym were. Possibly weren't even like that. I think I go to where you go. There's a really cross dynamic of all people in there now. You know, some of them look really, really fit and some look worse than me, which is always good because nobody wants to enter a gym space or any space and think, I look worst in this room.
But you're also not one of the best, I think, either.
No, I'm a nigomaniac, so I don't mind somebody going, you look well, mate. I go, thanks, I'm 57.
No.
Are you really? Yeah. So I don't know. You're never, ever going to look the best, are you? There's always going to be somebody who's going to be better than you in anything. I think you've got to accept that in life. Somebody who's going to be better at doing something than you are. You've just got to strive to be best that you can possibly be in that space.
It's fascinating hearing that because it's funny how the industry's moved on, gyms have moved on, but also how similar it is as well. I think, like I said, there's much more diversity in gyms, Station Gym being a prime example of that, where you've got strong men, power lifters, you've got people there for bodybuilding, you've got people whose first session it is out of shape, just getting into the classes, you've got people who are doing HIIT training, high rock stuff. It's a real melting pot of so many different kind of backgrounds and styles of training, but very rare in today's world. A lot of people niche down quite hard. But also, it's also very interesting when you go to certain gyms where there is like an attire. Like I know certain gyms where stringer vests, and certain bodybuilding like gyms maybe where they all wear kind of similar things, big puffy pants, like the 90s looks coming back a little bit now, MC Hammer style. And there's certain gyms where all the girls will be wearing like certain brands and have a certain look. It's fascinating how similar it is, but different it is, I think.
But I think that's like any culture, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? We all feel comfortable in certain things, like, you know, when you think about bars and what have you, you know, when I was going out in Sheffield such a lot, you had bars for certain demographics of people that they felt. Fundamentally, they all sell beer and wine, don't they?
Yeah.
But you kind of go in there, it might be the atmosphere, it might be the music, it might be the fact that you're with like-minded people. So if you're going to go, your prime purpose is to be a bodybuilder, then you go to a specialist bodybuilding. If your prime is to be like, I just want to be fit. I think the thing about in the middle, you've got people. And what's really good is actually that kind of community thing. I'll go in down on a Friday and I see roughly the same faces all the time. And they're, you know, and it's no more than a nod. But it's like, well, I recognise you, you recognise me, we can be civil, we're all in for the same. Whereas I think possibly if you go to the more on the edge ones, they won't be kind as well because they're specifically there for that thing. I'm here to get as big as I do. I'm here to get, because I want to run 20 marathons, eat whatever. So they've more, well, I think for me, the station that fitted what I want to, because I didn't feel kind of out of place in it. And if you feel out of place, you're not going to want to go here.
Yeah, I agree. I think feeling like you belong somewhere is very important in fitness. That's why people who love running now can join running groups. Loads of running clubs in Sheffield, all over the UK. But no matter what your goal is, I think Station's pretty good for that, isn't it? You can fit into a certain demographic. There's a class for you, whether it's strong Saturdays, whether it's a HIIT class with Louisa on a spin bike, whether it's a boxing session with Tommy. Like, there's something for everyone there, which is really cool. And you don't get that, like I said, in most gyms. It's kind of quite niche down, and maybe they get their own audience, but also as well, if you go in there and you're not with that kind of demographic, you can very quickly feel like this isn't me. Similar to you with your fluorescent headband on.
That's right, exactly.
You should have just worn the headband, mate. Gone in there like Adidas tracksuit on with a fluorescent headband.
I just couldn't imagine myself bouncing around to Jane Fonda videos or whatever. I just no. I'm more Rocky Balboa than Jane Fonda. You know what I mean? I'd have preferred the sweat and grunt rather than chasing chickens rather than exactly. Look, anybody watches one of them films, don't get up and do a few little lights, shadow boxing at the sand. Everybody gets up and it walks off.
I'm chuffed we've got Mark's age out of him this early. So if anyone's not watching on YouTube, like, you look great, mate. I'm not going to lie.
Very good for 57.
I don't felt it this last couple of weeks, I have to say.
Bit of a silver fox over here. I can see why he's in the hairdressing industry.
Well, yeah. It's not my hair, though.
I was going to say, yeah. You don't know
the big reveal.
Do you know what? You just don't know nowadays because there's so many good wigs and toupees, and I'm sure we'll get into all that.
Yeah, it is. We have a guy who comes and does our printer, and you would not know until he lifts the tape up at the front. And he has a monthly fix, takes sides and backs off. And but I also think it's if you want to be bold now, this is the generation to be it. Because I think from the whole kind of thing with Jason Statham, people like that, it don't really matter anymore. Let's face it, his missus is absolutely stunning. He's got no hair on his head. So it's Bruce Willis, same again. So I don't think if you're comfortable with our hair, I think it's great. My three cousins, they've got no hair, nephews. The two of them have got absolutely no hair. One has got abundance of hair. They're comfortable like that. So I think it's just being comfortable in it, really. I think that's the thing with that.
I'm fighting for dear life, mate. I'm taking all sorts, trying to get these follicles regrowing.
I think you've done well.
I've done all right. Yeah. It's been worse. I started taking some, finasteride and minoxidil. I started taking a bit of that, and it did work. It did work really well, actually. But I had a period where I forgot to take it for a few weeks. And I saw it straight away, starting to thin out a little bit. I was like, oh my God, I need to get back on them pills. But
and do you have any side effects with them at all?
None at all, honestly, nothing. I mean, you read all sorts online.
Yeah, you do,
but I don't know, I feel like I keep myself pretty fit anyway. I train, I eat well.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the trumping factor with it all. I mean, if you're sedentary and you don't train and you then start taking this stuff on top and your hormones are already out of whack, maybe then it starts to have some adverse effects. But
What are some side effects? Because I'm keen to stay on the topic of hair. Like,
I think it's along the lines of like reduced libido, low energy. I think it starts messing with your hormones a little bit, mainly, from what I hear.
Fair. What's some key comments you get from, because it's not just exclusively women you work with, is it? You got a few.
My clientele's fairly, I think because about 20%, 22% gents, and I think that's coming out of sports. So if I went through my client list, most of them played sports. So they've got that connection to them. And most relationships in a salon with your clients, I always said to my team, a clientele is a shadow of what your friendship group is. No, it's not. I went, it is. And one of my stylists says, well, I'm nothing like Mrs. Such and Such. Right? She's 20 years older than you, I agree. I said, but you're very like her. She went, how? How am I like her? And she chose not to have children. You chose not to have children. She has 2 cats. You have 2 cats. And she has a dog, and you have 2 dogs. I said, so you talk about, you're going out, walks, doing all that. And that's the connection she has with you because she's very similar to you. All right, yeah. So you've got interest that she's got and vice versa. And that's why she keeps feeling comfortable about coming in. You're a great hairdresser, but there's still that thing. I says, with my gents, current day, I have the same conversation with most of them. Man, you're crap. We all hate Liverpool.
I'm not signing up there.
I don't have one Liverpool client.
Do you not?
I've been to Gary Melton. I have one. Okay. He was in last week. One. No, I don't rest out. I think he only comes because he started winning. Yeah. So, but no, I think because of spot, and they feel comfortable in a hairdressing salon, walking in that's predominantly female. At one stage we did have about 40% guys working in their stylists. Now there's just me. So walking in there as a kind of middle-aged man into a female domain full of females, we're all female clients. They wouldn't do that. Because I'm the IMA, manual still crap, as things, then it gives you, it makes you feel comfortable. And that's what people should feel in an environment like ours.
Cool. Which, what got you into, I've heard this story from 2 people, Mark. I've heard your version, and I've also heard your lovely wife Kelsey's version. So would you like to set the record straight? What got you into?
To be fair, I think coming out of school, I was undiagnosed dyslexic. And I think what's frightening, that was all right. 40 years ago when I left school, the fact that, I've got a training academy and we've just done new September salon and there's still young people at 16 coming out with undiagnosed dyslexic is absolutely horrific. And that they're not being picked up, and we do a simple test that they do online and straight away it flags up dyslexia, dyspraxia. But I left school at 16 expecting to get good grades. Because everyone kept telling me I was going to get good grades and got rubbish grades, got absolutely crap. So I was going to be a machine engineerist. That weren't going to pan out because I didn't get the grades for it. And I was very much kind of like lost what am I going to go and do. And I was playing football with a pal of mine in a band called Mark Somerset. And he was going out with a girl a couple of years older than himself, and he decided to go into hairdressing. So I said, right, I'm going to try this hairdressing look. And so I kind of went and had a look and just walked into the environment. He said, come and be a model for me at where this train. And the YTS had just started offering training things. And went into this salon, and it was just like, wow, this is where the music, they kind of, it was really trendy, called Michael Emsick, were in Rotherham. And they got 5 salons, and it was just a really trendy place. And Michael, he had a good cross section, guys in there, females there. All the girls were really, really attractive girls. At 16, when your hormones are going mad, that's what. And there were Lou Reed on there, and there was just really good talking heads, music, and what have you. I think, actually, this engineering thing, I'm not convinced this is right for me. I think this hairdressing is right for me. So I asked him, look, is there any places? He says, yeah, we can find some places. But we can take it on. And I was fortunate that Michael did like a little week's trial thing. Michael, who owned the business, saw something in me. He said, look, we'd like you to come and work with us. And I went, brilliant, that's fantastic. Where am I going to work? He says, here at Rotherham. And I'm thinking, my dreams have just happened here. Absolutely. And so I started a week later and being a hairdresser. Which very, very different from being, what I was going to be, which we were going to be a machine engineer. So something like I took trial Stanley tools and things like that. So it was a very, and I would have been on £87.50 there, whereas I went on £25.50 as a YTS in hairdressing. So it was kind of, I fell into it very much rather than actually that, there was no way from my background I was going to want to be a hairdresser. It was just something I fell into.
Lovely story, that. And it's amazing now if the styles are different, if you'd, like I said, if you'd maybe worked harder at school and got some grades, or if you didn't get diagnosed, or that was never part of your kind of history, how different things could have been. And it's sometimes small things like that.
And I think I think within my life there's been certain junctions where things have happened and you thought, that's been a big turnaround, do you know what I mean? And sometimes it's been positive, but I think there's equally been as many negatives, and I think that's just life, and you've got to learn to bounce with them. You can't just expect positives all the time because it's unrealistic. You've got to take the negatives with them. But I think and I think, my attitude were from the very beginning, I'm going to do the best I can in this. And the environment were right for me at the right time. The scene was very good. I was really into new romantic music and stuff like that. I was in a kind of band at the time, and although they were rubbish, but I was still playing my football. And I think 86, 87 were a fantastic time, you know what I mean? To be young, because you could just be what you wanted to be. I feel really passionate now that the current 16, 17 years have got no empowerment whatsoever to be kind of stand out from a crowd. Whereas I think 1980s new romantics, the whole thing coming out punk, coming out in that new wave into new romantics, being different were actually something you aspired to be. Whereas I think now, unfortunately for the young people today, they kind of just want to be Russian dolls of what their kind of YouTube following is, and what their kind of, I want to look like that person, and I just want everything to be like that person. And I think that's really quite sad, really. And I mean, I had our training academy for 12 years. I said, look, cut your hair off. Do so. No, I can't. I said, why would you not want to stand out? You're really attractive. Why do you want to stand out? I don't want to stand out. I want to just fit in.
Conformity. I see a lot more of that in the kind of the younger generation that I coach, the teenagers especially, where they're all obsessed with the Kardashians. Yeah. And everyone's
don't even stop. My wife, I'm listening back to, here we go, rant number one.
Well, I've never ranted about it, but I've definitely got this opinion of I've seen the conformity happen. And I think it all stemmed for me with this going to bars and nightclubs and seeing that every girl was like some version of a Kardashian. And I don't know how that's even possible, but there's a look they have, isn't there? And you'll know this as a hairdresser, but whether it was the makeup or the lips or the hair or the outfit, as someone who's not as into that stuff, there was just something about walking to certain bars and everyone looks the same.
All of it. And I think, we could, if I go through the girls who come to the academy over the last 10 years and people going out, effectively it's like a mask, and this is what's really sad. It's a mask that they wear because everybody else wears it, and we have to do some kind of certain things within the format that I have to do with the academy, and what have you, like personal learning skills and development or what have you. A lot of it's based around mental health and sexual health and things like that, and British values and what have you. But the mental health thing is always really, I really do go into that, and I think the like button was the most horrific thing to ever be invented, because that pressing of that button confirms or unconfirms what you look like, what you're talking about, what your opinions are and everything. And I often said to predominantly girls that we get in, how many of you, if you put your hands on yours, get ready on a Saturday, you do your selfie in your bathroom, because lighting's always better in the bathroom, isn't it? Not that I know, because I don't do a lot of selfies. But you're doing it all, and then you sit on your bed and you wait to see how many people comment on it and like it, say what they like it. And that's not just that's opening yourself up to everybody. And that's often, hands on heart, how many people, raise your hands, if you've not got X amount of likes, X amount of comments within 2 or 3 minutes, you've gone straight to wardrobe and got changed. And every single time we do this conversation and this class, it takes 1 or 2, and by the time we've done, 40 to 50% of them put their hands up.
Wow.
And that is something I never grew up with. You got ready, you got yourself done, you went out, but the Kardashian things came, and the Molly Mays of this world and the Love Island people and what have you, you cannot fault the money that they earn. And I often rant about these people. They've not got a talent, they have got a talent. They've got a talent for making money out of their image. And good on them. I would not, fair play to them, that's absolutely fine. But this kind of thing that you've got to look like them. You've got to have the lashes, you've got to have the hair, you've got to have the extensions, you've got to have the permatan, you've got to have the nails, you've got to have the lip filler, you've got to have the, 16, 17 having Botox and lip filler. It's like, oh man, where's it going to end up?
It gets me, weirdly, I'm writing a post about this at the moment about the Cobra effect. Have you come across this before?
No.
So Cobra effect was in British India, when British were obviously, colonially in charge of India. They had a big cobra problem where there were just cobras on the street, just biting people, killing them. So they put an incentive out, which is, you give us a cobra, we give you money. And people started breeding cobras to give them...
Which just makes the problem worse.
Yeah, it's made the problem worse because the people were getting paid and then they cottoned onto it somehow. And then they said, right, that incentive's void now. When they released them back in, the breeders were like, well, these cobras are useless. Released them back, problem got worse. So that's an example of incentives being made wrong. Well, being made not really considered. And the like button, is that really the incentive that we're after? So I don't know. I think there's a wider conversation about self-worth and maybe what young girls in particular, because, Ryan's got a daughter, we have to look at this moving forward, don't we?
I've got a quicker test as to whether someone's really obsessed with the amount of likes they get. Go into their profile, scroll through all the videos, photos, and see how many photos or videos they've got where they've hidden the likes. And what you'll find is, I scroll through certain accounts, and when they've got 100 likes, that's there to see. You scroll down a few more, why are the likes hidden on that one? You realise it's probably because they've not got as many. And I got into this kind of habit of doing something similar, and I was like, why am I so bothered? You know what? Whether it gets 3 likes or whether it gets 300 likes, I'm just going to keep it there. I'm not going to hide the likes. And I felt myself get into that trap, and I was like, no, it's not. That's almost like inauthentic in a way. It's not being like, authentic with your audience about what's being liked and what's not. And I just stopped doing it basically. So whether it and I tried to become less bothered about that. But it's hard, isn't it? Even as someone who creates content, as someone who puts something out, it's an instant feedback as to how well that's been received. And it's just human nature for your stuff to want to be received better. You want everyone to like it.
Yeah, of course you do. And but then when you do get them shallow, as you well said, what did I do wrong? Well, you didn't do anything wrong. That subject matter might not have appealed to your audience that you did at that time.
Yeah.
What we're talking about, or just anything, but we can't be built around just... Anybody that says they don't like somebody saying, you look good, you've done well, they're a liar. Because we all like egos being stroked. Yeah. We all like egos being stroked. But to have a life built around your ego being stroked is not a good thing. I think sometimes you've got to have that self-resilience that I believe in what I'm doing. I believe what I'm wearing. I believe I'll look at this minute in time. I believe how my career's going. I'm onto it, then you've got to have that self-belief. If you're just constantly looking for reaffirmation from other people, then you're just going to be constantly looking for it all the time, and you're going to miss so many things because you're not following your true self. I don't think you're just looking for somebody else to kind of, I like what you've done there, I'll just keep doing the same thing then. I'll just keep, and that's the thing with the influencers now, that because they're making the money out of what they look like, they're so petrified to change their image, which is why from my industry, we've been stuck for 10, 15 years in this rut of this long hair, extensions, balayage, wear soft wave. It's destroying the industry because there's no money in it. What we need is loads of short hair, loads of solid colour, because you need to have that done every 4 to 6 weeks. And I keep telling the girls, if you're in a career like my kind of career, you earn money, you have a good lifestyle, Harry, you've got to start doing short hair. All this long hair, they see you once every 6 months. And they'll go to the next influencer or the next person that's got a bigger profile or more likes than you. Next, in 6 months' time, they'll not come back to you. Whereas I have people who come to me every 4 or 6 weeks, they put money in my till, I shake their hand and thank them very much because they've got short hair. And they're killing the industry because the people that they're following are just got the same image. They built their career on that image. Whereas I think the people we used to follow, sports people, movie stars, pop singers, every time they had a reinvention, you followed their reinvention. Look at like some Madonna and people like that. New album, reinvention. New film, reinvention. Short hair, long hair, sometimes big muscly, sometimes really thin. Matthew McConaughey we talk about, Texas thing is like this. Tough moves later, he's built like a brick, shit house. So you think, I want to be like him, or I want to dress like him, I want to look like him. That constantly changed all the time and evolved. These people for 10 years have just looked exactly the same.
So go on.
Go on.
You spoke about 1986, 87 being like an era of people were just free, they did what they want, there was no holds barred. I think they were influenced less. We're in the influencer era now. And when more people are influenced, more people look the same. When you're influenced by less people, and yeah, there was some big people like superstars, Madonna, Matthew McConaughey, whatever it was back in the day. But there was less people wanting to look like the most popular people. And I think popularity nowadays sells.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
make people millionaires.
Yeah, like eyeballs sell. And I think it's a shame, really, because like in your teenage years and your early 20s, you've got to be free to kind of be whoever you want to be. I think about some, like, honestly, if I could tell you some of the haircuts I've had, like, probably should have done that before we come on, just a timeline of my hairstyles. It's nuts, right? But also my fashion as well. Like I was well into like hip hop, and I started wearing like snapback hats that all the guys in Brooklyn were wearing. Then I went like through my emo, mosher phase, went into my skater phase. I've been for everything, but I did it because I liked it. I was influenced a little bit, but I moved around a lot. And I've got no regrets about not, I've got no regrets about doing all those different styles and having those different influences, because it's kind of made me who I am today in my own style. And I think when you only in your teenage years and 20s have one style, when you get to like your 30s and you're less bothered, because you are in your 30s, you get to 30 and you kind of feel like I'm settling into me now and who I want to be. You've not really explored all that.
No.
It's a little bit similar to when some of the most well-rounded individuals that I know, young individuals that I know, are the guys that have had the most jobs. So when you've had loads of different jobs and you've been in like a barber shop and you've been flying for a club, and then you've had, all sorts of different...
Building side.
Yeah. You've had all these different influences, and you kind of work out what you like, what kind of person you are. You influence, and it's very unique. You're very unique, aren't you? Because you've had so many influences. When you get to 30 and you've had 2 or 3 influences and you've kind of had the same look, you're kind of like everyone else. There's no uniqueness to you. I liken it to the career ladder. I really do.
I think there's two main contributors, I think, to that is music. Music always a massive thing to me, and sport. You look at music, and I followed all different types of music. I was massive into club music, still really like my house music. I was really into like kind of like that early like new romantic stuff and what have you. And then being in sports from really 13, 14, and I've often said to you, a football changing room is the most diverse, eclectic group they're ever going to. They've got 15 people in there that you go for a drink afterwards, and if I saw him in the street now, I would have a big hug and what have you, but I've not spoke to him since the minute we finished that team. But for that period of time, you train all together, you pulled all together, you have some fallouts, you won, you lost, you got titles, you got relegated, whatever it were, and you'd have produce in there, you'd have brickies in there, you'd have a dentist in there, solicitor in there, butcher in there, hairdresser in there, and yet for that 90 minutes plus, you're being there fighting hell for each other, and that is... You want to be be mixed with all them different people and see what their lives like and see how they map out and go, oh, you've done really well there, mate, got a new car, have you done that? Oh, brilliant. I think if you just stick within your same circle, particularly at that, now, when you get to like my age, my friendship group is relatively set, and I've often said to you, if you've got 5 friends that you can round, you're doing really, really well. And I only want 5 friends. I don't need any more friends than that. I know, I've got acquaintances, but I've got 5 friends I know I can ring up any minute of day and they can get me out and help me out and be there for me. Whereas I think at that, you need to really put yourself out there and really find out who you are, what you like, what you don't like, the kind of personalities that you're going to get on with, the kind of personalities you're not going to get on with, and just test things out. I think if you're just going down the same path with the same people in the same tribe, you're going to end up getting to 30 and think, who am I? What have I done? Where have I been? They've just had the same opinion about life that I had. I have some really screaming around some of my mates now about some rad things because we've been brought up slightly different, got slight views. That's a good thing. What we're getting out of society is we're not allowed to actually say that I don't agree with you and have a debate about it. You've just got to either conform to what the people think or conform to what you think and just stay in that trough. It's just not good.
I guarantee those 5 friends, though, are all different people. All from different walks of life, all individual personalities. Yeah. If they were all the same person, why would you need 5 of them?
Correct. I think predominantly we all work hard. We all had ups and downs that we all kind of quite happy to share that we had ups and downs. Background-wise, we've all self-made. I think we're all we've made our own trough. It's not been, we've not took on a parents' company or anything like that. But we're all very, somebody in financial services, somebody in scaffolding, someone's a market trader. I've got mates that are in varying different things, but they've made their lives. You know what I mean? That's the one thing. They get up, they go to work, they work hard, they take the knocks, they take the successes.
Yeah. As a bloke, that's the best social circle, I think.
Definitely.
Like, not everyone likes that though. Sometimes people find that a bit like, it's, when you're around a group of people who are quite relatively successful and everyone's grafting hard and you're not yourself like that, you wouldn't want to be part of that. But you attract people that are like you, and it's great that you've got a group of mates that's kind of, that same mindset of they want to work hard, play hard, and, just a laugh as well.
Yeah. I think not to take yourself too. What nobody tries to do, and I think what's really hard is that when you meet some people and you almost want to blow your own ego because you feel that you've got to do that. Mm-hmm. I think when you get to a group of friends where you don't feel you've got to pretend to be more successful, I've signed this deal, or I've just gone and done this, or I've just put an order in for a new Bentley Continental GT, whatever it is, and it's like, I don't give a flying fuck what you've got to drive. You know what I mean? If I see it and you're driving it, nice car, mate. All right, done well. Yeah, great. Yeah. I think getting to that kind of comfortableness with your friendship groups financially, we're all quite different, bizarrely. We're not all on the same level.
Okay.
Some of them are very, very wealthy, and some of us are still kind of grafting 5 days a week. So we're not kind of like financially all on a level, but I think the fact that we can all see that we all have the pressures of running businesses, getting up, going there, juggling family life, that kind of, and that if you need me, I'll be there for you.
Yeah. But it doesn't have to be a financial thing. Sometimes it can just be a hard work. Okay.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, have you met all these lads through football, or was it from
bizarrely through my wife, and that is a really, really odd thing. My wife she's a butterfly. She's got a massive circle of friends. Okay. And my 5 thing, she's just like, So yeah, but you socialise with your friends a lot more. I don't socialise with my friends loads. We're going out this Friday. We probably see each other once every 5 or 6 weeks.
There's probably about that.
Yeah, when we can be asked to kind of get out and actually somebody organise it. And we do have a lads trip once a year where we kind of go to Lisbon, Madrid and what have you. But again, there's only 2 of us that organise that. The rest of them go, are you going to organise next lads trip? I'm like, fuck's sake. But we all have his roles, within that group. And if they organised it, it'd be shit anyway. So you better me and James organise it. But we don't see each other anywhere near as much as my wife sees. But we're mainly through my wife, the kids, school friends and stuff like that. So I would say all my friends really have been brought in around that.
It's funny that.
You probably do see that as well as you get older, where these conveniences just seem, you get to really know people purely just because they're there, and you spend that time with them. It's like this proximity of, I remember you sort of bracing me, being like, get ready, this is how school run's going to go, you're going to get pally with some dads, your wife's going to get pally with some mums, and just get ready. And I'm ready for that, like doors open, my mind's open. And you can still see now with Teddy just starting school, there's some still standoff parents, and that's fine. It's just got to all be at your own time. We're not there to make mates, we're there to make sure his kids are all right. But I guarantee things will flourish as they go.
And I think the thing about understanding somebody's parenting is really important. I think this is what, and you will find this, and when you have that people and you've got 30 kids in a birthday party just running riot because everybody's invited everybody, but as that kind of shallows out in Y6, 7 and what have you, and it starts to thin out a little bit, and you end up with maybe 5 or 6 people, what have you, then you see their parenting skills are parenting style is very similar to yours. And I think that then think, well, yeah, I like how you're doing that. And I think, when I look at my friendship with parents, one of them is very, very different, but you kind of, it's little things that you see, how you treat your kids is how I want to treat my kids. And so we've got a connection there with that. And so we can do that. And then, we're going to go out with such and such all right, yeah, no problems. I like him. He's got a similar kind of parenting style to me. Or I like him. He's got, and it kind of come out of that really. And then she just kept saying, we're going out with them every week, we're going out with them every week, we're going out with them every week. Like, well, we might as well get mates then, haven't we? Because we've got no choice about it really, because my missus keeps booking nights out.
And I remember saying this to you where, I'll always say like, how do you remember dealing with this with girls? Like, I've got this situation with Ted. And you would always end your anecdotes with, but it all depends. All depends for you, what's best for you. And I love that because it weren't really like dogmatic. It weren't, well, here's what I did, you should follow suit, because as we know, your girls are completely different to Ted.
No, I think bringing kids up is the hardest thing, most rewarding thing. You cannot bring both of them up the same. And anyone has one child never ever go through that experience. And everyone got three like my mum had, and I often, and I still to this day, I've spoken to you quite recently about this, think that my brothers were brought up very differently to how I brought up. And it wasn't until I had two girls of my own, and it could have been a girl and boy, and mum always used to say, you can't bring them up the same because they've not got the same personality. And I could never get my head around that. Never ever, like, that's bullshit, you're just copying out there, mum. Our Phil's environment were very different. There were more money about when my younger brother, Philip, were there, and they went on family holidays abroad, which he never did because he never had the money at that particular time. So his childhood were very different to mine. But how my two girls were brought up, even though they've got the same parentage, the same family dynamic, the same, grandparents, all that, same, is totally different. And my eldest daughter now has the same kind of thoughts about how she's treated to her siblings treated. But, she's now old, she's 23 and 20, my two children. I said to her quite recently, your nan's wisdom, and I won't often say that, is you can't bring them up the same. You can't bring them up the same. And how I treat you is very different because your personality, you'll listen, you'll take criticism on board, you'll think about it, you'll respond. Your sister is, boom, she's bouncing off at ceiling, she's bouncing off at walls, she's kicking off, she's denying all knowledge, she's blaming you for everything. I said, you can't, it's pointless. I went, you've just got to trickle feed her, whereas I could sit you down and go, I'm not happy about this, you can't do this, you should be doing this, da-da-da. You'll take it, think about it, respond. You might not like it, but you will do that. Your sister won't do that, she'll just fly off a handle. I said, so you've got to kind of drip feed her that. And you don't see the drip feed because you're not always there. But I'll have a little go about this and then I'll wait. And then I might have a little word about this and I'll wait. And I drip feed them things in, and hopefully bit by bit, she'll go, oh, right, yeah, you're probably right there, Dad. She might not, but you can't have that single conversation because her personality will not be the same. It's not the same.
What I'm gauging is the fact that when you become a parent, your managerial skills increase. Yeah. Like you're managing people, yeah. It's like your own little task and workforce.
Exactly, it's exactly the same as running business.
Yeah, you're trying to get the best out of your team, and so it works harmoniously. And a family sounds no different.
It's exactly that. Running a business is exactly the same. You've got your managing director there. That's my wife. So she's there. She's making sure, kind of like, and keeps tapping on shoulders. Finance is all right. We're doing this and we're doing that. We're in the right place. We're in that. So she's there. And then you've got others that you want to promote and be successful, but sometimes you've got to kind of like give them a little say, well, you're not doing that right. Not doing that right. And that is a family dynamic is like running a business on drugs, because it's just more intense because you've got responsibility to them 24/7, whereas in a business you've got responsibility for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Do you find that difficult to shift hats when it's obviously you're running a business and then you can sort of go home and think, especially when girls are a bit younger, could you just keep that business hat on and be like, it's sort of the same? Or did you have to be like, right, business hat off now, you've got dad, you've got husband?
Yeah, I think you've got to. You can't, and you do. Anybody that says they don't bring the work troubles home is a liar. Or they've just got the most perfect job, I've never seen it. We all bring it home, and we all take us whole life to work. That's a fact. It's a crossover. It can't, the amount of times, we might have had a few words before I've left the house. You get in the car, you're fuming, you're trying to sort yourself out. That first hour at work, you're still fuming. So whoever's in firing line is going to get it, aren't they? You've not done that. You forgot to do that. You said you were going to do that. And then you have to go. You go, I'm sorry about that. I shouldn't have said that to you. I shouldn't have reacted like that. Take responsibility. And vice versa. You've had a bad day at work. I've come in. I've literally, Kelsey might have said one word. I've had 2 beers, and all I've got to do is just download it. You're having this. I'm not bothered. I've tried to get the anger out in the car. It's not worked out. Yeah. Give me a beer, and you're going to have it because this person at work's pissing me off. So you're going to have to listen to it. And you just got to, and she can do it, download. That's the dynamic, isn't it?
I think if you don't do that, you're probably a bit psychotic. If you can you can be super annoyed at home, and the moment you get into work, flick a switch, and you're not like that, there's something not right in your head.
That's what corporate expects you to be, though. I don't know if have you worked corporate before, Mark? I know you said you dropped into it quite early.
Yeah, no. I think they expect you to be the robot of what they expect you to be.
Yeah.
I think, in our industry, and I suppose it's like a few guys, it's a very emotive industry. So you've got emotional people who try to master emotions. I'm crap at it. If I'm pissed off, and I can say, she go, what's the matter? No. Right, okay, I'm going to ask you again. What's the matter? No. And because I'm not very good at hiding it, all I do is just basically go in shutdown mode, which is not really me. So if I'm not talking to people, I'm not kind of, having a laugh, then there's something wrong with me. It could be good or bad on that. I'll just go in shutdown mode. And my team at work know full well, if I walk into that building and I've just gone straight to office, it's gone round building straight away. Something's happened. Something's happening. Wait for WhatsApp messages. Like this type of thing. And so they know my personality. Some of my team have worked with me for 35 years. So they know my personality. So they both learn to cope with it, and then they give me a bit of space. I can come round and what have you. Or inevitably the volcano will hit.
You mentioned Kelsey there as well, who I know really well. Do you care to share the story about how you met, the infamous story
Jesus
of the...
Christ, man, I can't remember tell this. I tell this in a way so I can tell this. In fact, that particular time, we're 1990s clubbing scene, and my shop were very much based around that kind of friendship group, people going out clubbing. I had a couple of stylists that worked for me that were big clubbers and what have you. And they got friendship groups in hairdressing, also that people that I didn't know, I didn't know. And at that particular time, we only had the one unit, not the 3 units. So it was a late night, and I was working particularly late. We had another stylist of mine called Tracy at the time, who'd been with the business for about 6 or 7 months and what have you. So we're both working late 8 o'clock, and it was autumn time, so it was pitch black outside. And we just saw this. To be fair, I heard the noise first, and I heard this noise of this car tearing up Mapping Street, which runs parallel to my shop, and then coming to a screech outside shop, full on brakes on screech. So I turned around thinking, "Oh, the fuck!" And I just pulled up outside shop like that, and all I could see was this scraggy escort car. I'm like, "What the bleeding hell's that thing?" Oh, I'm looking, and Tracy says, "Oh, it's my friend. She's come to pick me up." I went, "All right." And I'm looking, peering in, and then Art Kelsey got, and basically, as I said at my wedding, she got this massive orange puffer jacket on, right, and this long blonde hair. So she just looked like this Sheffield version of Pamela Anderson. She's quite busty, my wife. So she had a big puffer jacket on, opened up front, this long blonde hair. "Who's that?" It's Tracy. She says, "It's my friend." "What's her name?" "Oh, she's Kelsey. She works at Alan Paul's hairdresser." "All right. Yeah. Where you going then?" So when we got married, it's part of my speech. I said this story, and she said, "I can't believe you said that story." I went, "Why?" I said, "Because that's how we met." I said, "All these people have these. Oh, we met these eyes across the table." And I said, "No," I said, "You had this scraggy old escort, his bright orange puffer jacket, and you look like Pamela Anderson." And I'd take it as a compliment.
Yeah. It's real though, isn't it? I think too many people want it to be like Disney fairy tales. You know what I mean? It's not like that. But the amount of people I coach nowadays as well, and couples as well, and sometimes when I get to know them a bit better, I go, "How did you meet them?" The amount of people, it's like Tinder or some kind of dating site, it's phenomenal. Like that, those kind of reactions and interactions don't really happen anymore.
Because I think the work dynamics changed, haven't it? I think also being able to communicate. Well, we're both hairdressers, so we could do that. But I think most people worked in a work environment scenario, and obviously now working from home, that's massively changed that. And I just don't think people are comfortable talking to other people. And that is really, it's really sad. It's like, they're having relationships online and on the phones because they don't feel able that they can go and say to somebody, "Hiya, how are you? Can I get you a drink?" That kind of, you've got to be brave, aren't you?
Do you know what a lot of it is down to as well? And it's quite controversial, but I just think that men are a little bit more scared to talk to women. I think women now are, whether it's the Me Too movement and all this stuff, and men being called out for stuff. I do think there's a big push on like men feeling like, I don't want to be that guy. I see a lot of it online. Last thing I bloody need is to be on some kind of post online about being a creepy bloke at work. I'm just not going to bother. I'm just going to stay out of the limelight. I'm not going to do it. I think there's a lot of that goes on in workplaces now.
And that's what's breeding into what's happening with it on the Tate thing. With young lads kind of feeling that they've got to kind of be these people that they're not really, because they don't feel empowered. They don't feel they've got a masculinity. But But I think, again, we're coming back to that kind of lashes, brows, extensions. All the girls I deal with in Canberra predominantly have got big personalities to a certain extent, but they're so internally insecure. So when a young lad of the same age sees this person who looks like this, and they look so much older, lads at 15, 16 look like 15 at 16.
Yeah.
Girls at 15, 16, 17 look like they're 19, 20, 21, don't they?
Sometimes older.
By the time they're all made up, and all
dangerous nowadays.
this kind of like wardrobe that they're wearing is kind of, that might empower them, but I can understand why for lads approaching them, oh my God, there looks like an age between us two. She's just going to bin me off here, and I'm like, right. So I can understand why, but we've got to start talking to people. Say, well, they're just as nervous because they're covering themselves like this because they're not really comfortable. And if you actually had a conversation in a classroom with equal people, why do you want to look like that? Well, because such and such looks like that, and I feel better about myself. Then lads might not feel as small and belittled, that they actually go to and say, you look great like you do.
Yeah.
Do you think so? Yeah, no, I think you look great when you come to school. I don't think you need all that. But if you want to wear it, that's all right. But I think you look great anyway. Oh, I think you look really... And it's a joint thing. We can't just keep making people dress all the same because they feel good, and then the lads kind of not feeling empowered to talk to them. Because the communication thing, if we lose that, we're in real trouble.
I agree. The entire Andrew Tate thing just strikes me as a massive overcompensation. It's like there's a movement there that empowers women. It's like, yeah, but what about men? And it's like there is a happy medium there. We have got to meet culturally in the middle, and no man's better equipped, in my opinion, to speak about that than you. Who sees this generation coming through. You've seen many generations come through of the girls that you work with, and the guys who are coming through. I just find it really fascinating, especially as Ted and Harlow grow up. I'm like, what are they going to grow up into?
Does worry me that. Where are they going to be if this is where the generation is now? And coming back to, again, coaching this generation of teenagers, people in the early 20s, there's definitely more of a sense of their communication skills aren't as good. Because they're online and they're, not having these face-to-face chats, which when I was at school, I would talk about, if you had a disagreement with someone as a bloke, right, tennis courts, 12 p.m, I'll meet you there, sort it out, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Times have moved on now where people will be a bit off each other online, and they'll be a bit snipey, and girls, maybe guys are turning a little bit more like girls, where they can be a bit more bitchy, or you get the other extreme of it where they're carrying knives around. Do you know what I mean? There's no in between now. It's right, let's just do the gentlemanly thing. And I'm not saying I'm promoting kids fighting, by the way, but I'm saying that when I was a kid, it's kind of how you dealt with something. It was the last case scenario, by the way. We'd only ever get to that if we really wanted to sort something out, and we hated each other, and it was back and forth. Right, let's just sort it out on the tennis courts. And then guess what? You always came out and you shook hands afterwards.
Yeah.
And I had more respect for people after that, weirdly, because I hated them going into it. But you see it with boxers, don't you, sometimes, where they go into a fight and they hate each other, the build-up's awesome, and everyone wants to see these two people that genuinely are disgusted by each other fight it out. And afterwards, they're hugging, they're shaking, and they're in the press conference saying, yeah, he was a great component. I think there's something about that, as a bloke as well, where you get it out on the mats. And it was... oh my God, I completely forgot his name. The Credo.
Luke Staton.
Luke Staton, yeah. Not Staton.
Not Staton.
No.
Staton. We've discovered this.
Yeah.
My recall of names recently has been shocking. I need to get on some memory cognition pills. But he was talking about how it's there's a difference now between how we do things back then, how we do things now, and it's completely changed. And I don't know, he was also talking about the MMA stuff and the boxing, and how maybe that's good for kids because they can go out there and they can feel like they can, battle out confrontations and get out some of that pent-up energy. Maybe there's not enough kids doing physical battles, and MMA is great for that.
I think the physicality thing, I think, is one thing. I think allowing people to... learning to... Everybody, to be successful, you've got to have a form of aggression. No matter what you do, it's how you control your aggression. And I think because of the knife situation, which is a pandemic situation in this country now with young people, but it isn't it within certain cultures. I think it very much is. I think mainstream, I don't think it is as much as what people are making out. I think there are some people in certain schools, but a school might have 1,200 people in that school. They might have one person that brings knives, so you can't say there's a knife culture in that school because of that. But I think for lads to be able to face up to somebody and say, but by texting it and putting it out on social media and embarrassing people and not being able to deal with that, that's just penting up that aggression. And I do think that bringing competitive sports, trying to make you go, you've got to find a release for this. You've got to find a release for this pen, because otherwise it's going to destroy you from inside. Being angry is a good thing. Nobody's going to go around through life just smiling and laughing unless they've got some serious issues. You're going to have that drive, because that drive really comes from two sides, doesn't it? That kind of enjoyment and that kind of anger inside. And if you can't become angry, you're not a real person. So it's teaching young people that being angry is all right. Being anxious is all right. We really struggle with anxiety in young people now, and I often, we have these mental health talks that I said earlier about, with this group, and I go, who's nervous when they do something? And I'm nervous. Good, fight or flight. I said, we would not be a species on this planet if we didn't have that natural instinct. That natural instinct kept us alive when dinosaurs were here. That natural instinct got people through wars. That natural instinct, it's making you fight to get out. It's your brain getting your endorphins going up, your heart rate's pumping, adrenaline's pumping. Your brain's now at its full maximum, because it's going to do something it's not done, it's not comfortable doing. Yeah. That is not a bad thing. Anxiety is not a bad thing if you can control it. If it starts getting into a panic attack, you've got to learn to control a panic attack. The quicker you can control your anxiety and think, deep breaths, it can be breathing exercises, it can be this. I go out, I used to do a lot of performing on stage and stuff like that and I used to sit there, and being in front of 2,000 people doing haircuts were easy for me. Being in a class of 6 or 8, or when I get 10 now, as 16, 17-year-olds, some of them that want to be there, some of them that don't, that's hard work. Because if one or two of these turn off, I'm going to lose this class, I've lost this audience. Whereas 2,000 people, if I lose 200, it doesn't matter, does it? There's still 1,800 sitting there. So it didn't really matter. And often didn't speak English anyway, so it didn't really matter. So from that point of view, the bigger audience, sometimes it's not, you're not as nervous, it's the smaller ones, because they're so looking intently at you type of thing. So, but I still get that now. So I do some work for I do stuff in here. And some days I go, and I'm going to say, you've done it before. Just think, do it. Get the first 2 sentences in your head, start it, da-da-da, you're in. And that's what you need to do. Get them first 2, and when it's meeting somebody, doing something for the first time, get your 2 sentences in your head. I'm going to say this, and then I'm hopefully going to say that, and then they'll say something, and you just react to that. That's all you need to do.
It's great advice, that. And I think it is quite difficult to put into practice, though, and I think sometimes they are easier said than done, those things. But I think what lays a great foundation for the younger generation is actually sport. I guarantee if you go back to for me, some of the most anxious times as a young person I can remember is stepping onto a football pitch. And just having that self-doubt. Some moments I'd be fine, I'd be going out, maybe it was a team that we know we'd batter. But certain moments where there's a tension in the dressing room, and you're like, come on lads, this is a good team, we want this, we're in a cup final or something like that, you've got to go out and do it. And there's a bit of tension, there's a nervousness that I hadn't felt 2 games ago. That's something that you have to process, and it's the fight or flight. You're thrust onto this pitch, you're in that position, don't mess up. I think same when you're on the mats in jiu-jitsu or MMA, you're there, you've got to perform, or you get embarrassed. And there's nothing wrong with messing up every now and again. But do you know what? That feeling sticks with you. Yeah. And you go, I come away from games and I thought, don't ever want that to happen again. I need to get better at that. What do I need to do? Do I need to go better in training? Do I need to practice by myself? Or is it just a mental thing that I need to think about? Sport, I think, is such a good foundation mentally for kids to deal with that anxiousness. And Dave Hembrough, who we had on, was talking about so many fascinating stats around kids getting into sports. Little things like kids who get into sports are generally in the first 4 years of employment more likely to be successful and move through the rankings because they know how to work in a team, they know how to communicate, they know how to deal with high pressure situations. I just think not enough kids are getting into sport. A lot are. No, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying no kids get into sport. Loads are. But I think there's maybe a bit of a drop off recently with, I don't know what it's down to. I don't know. Maybe parents aren't pushing it as much, or other things to go and do. Everyone wants to be a YouTuber now rather than play sports. And
I think also, let's face it, we went through a period where sports were dropped out, competitive sports were dropped out of schools. Yeah. And that was a disaster, that. I could never get my head around why you would, even the sports day scenario where, will be no winners' medals. And I was like, and that was very much when my kids were at school.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Just coming in that, and I'm like, whoa, what are you talking about? Oh no, because we want it to be all inclusive. And hang on here, my kids aren't massively academic. but she can run 60 metres like batshit crazy. So why she wants a medal? Why can't she have a medal? Because she ain't going to get it in maths. She ain't going to get it in English. So why can't she? Because she's competitive. She wants to win. I mean, this is a platform to be an equal.
Do you know what I'd say? I'd turn around and go, right, when it comes to GCSEs, it's going to be all inclusive. Doesn't matter how well done on the exams. Do you know what I mean?
Everyone's going to get
Everyone's going to get an A star. Do you know what I mean? Brilliant, that's it. I'm going, don't work that way. Academics don't work that way. So why are we putting it into sport?
We're going through it with Ted at the moment, where I said to Mark, he hates losing. Like, he will tantrum, he will walk away, he'll proper throw a strop if he loses. And my wife's picking it up and she's like, well, he needs to learn how to play properly. I'm like, yes, he does. He needs to learn how to be a gracious loser, but I don't want to beat that out of him. I want him to know that losing feels crap.
Yeah.
I want him to know that winning feels good, but then what do you do when you win? Are you gracious in victory as well as defeat? And I never want to stamp out that spark, because I can see he wants to win in everything, and it's so weird to see it at 5 years old.
Well, that's good though. I think that's good, because that'll make him hopefully want to achieve more and get better at it, and it's a drive that we need. But there's a certain percentage of kids that when they lose don't take it very well. Why are we changing that experience for everyone because that person don't feel very well? Yeah, like great, you're not good at sports, fine, there's no worries. Not everyone is. Like, you know, there's going to be something in life that you excel at. Let's find that, rather than it is a weird thought process, that isn't it? How parents decided that we don't want that kid to feel crap on sports day or be last picked in the football team.
I think it was a Labour government-led thing that they just wanted it to be inclusive, and right at the back end, and it were kind of like it don't work. You know, the competitive sports is the biggest learning curve for going out. In academics are academics, and a lot of academics are not particularly very good at simple problem solving, and they'll be open to that. A lot of really, really, really clever people, if you put something, you know, how many clever people take to change a light bulb, want to go and buy it, want to think about it, do all that kind of scenario, where it takes a normal person just to, there you go, it's in. So we all got our own qualities, and I think going back to what I said to you about Ted as well, when we played games with our kids, Mark, you got to let them win. No, I'm not letting them win. We're talking about let them win. No, I'm not letting them win. No. If they beat me at pool, or they beat me at this, or they beat me at that, they've done it, and I will shake their hand and go, you beat me fair and square. You know, I might take odd shot where I said, but I'm not going to let them win. I said, because it's not giving them the right thing, and I think
you also don't want to think you're a loser. That's crap at playing every week.
Yeah, exactly. I beat him every week. He's garbage. No, you don't. But I think you've got to learn. They've got to learn to take defeat. They've got to learn to accept that is it's not. I've probably learned more from my mistakes than I have from the things I've done well. The things I've done wrong and the mistakes I've made have been as costly as the things I've done well, and I've probably learned twice as much about myself. And I'm sure a lot of people say that from the mistakes. And when I've analysed it in years after, and gone, that were really fucking stupid that you did there. Why on earth did you think you could get it? Why do you think that was going to be successful? Why do you think that was going to make it? Was never going to work. It was never going to work. And the things I kind of really pushed to do, why did you not push that further? Because if you'd have pushed that further, you might have gone to that next level. So I think you've got to adapt and learn from both sides of it, because we've all got that in us. We will all lose at something and we'll all be successful at something. And you've got to be able to go, right, I'll learn from that, but I'll learn from that.
There's a commonality between us all, and it's all we all want to win. We all want to win, and like I said before, we want to win the right way. We've got that desire to achieve things. I think we all come from families of like multiple siblings as well.
Yeah.
Are you oldest, Mark? Three brothers?
Three, yeah.
There you go. Oh wow! So welcome to the club. I'm oldest of three. Brad's oldest of three, and I think there's a certain sense of competition that's instilled in kids when they're part of like a bit of a competitive childhood. I was listening to a fascinating podcast about John Jones, you know, the UFC fighter, arguably the greatest heavyweight UFC fighter of all time, and he has a brother who's in the NFL. He has another brother who's, I can't remember exactly what he does, but just really physical in sports. And John Jones is seen as like the baddest guy in the world, right? In the UFC, destroying people in cages. His brother goes like on this show and goes, I beat up John, no issues. Did it the other week. And it's like there's a competitiveness there, even still, like multiple years later. And that is just, it never dies. And I think that drives people even into like later life. Like I still want to prove something to my brothers. I want to be the best. He might be knocking people out in the NFL, but I want to be the baddest guy in the octagon. That competitiveness in siblings is really important. And I think if you, as a dad, are just letting them win and not really showing them that competitiveness, they're not getting that. They're not getting that message, like, we want to beat Dad.
Yeah.
And sometimes they might team up a little bit and go, right, we're going to beat him together.
Yeah.
And then they'll have moments where, no, it's me versus you now. And it's this, you know, people might see that as like toxic. It's not. It's just instilling this level of like work ethic and camaraderie and, competitiveness, but healthy competitiveness.
I think, yeah, exactly. Healthy competitiveness, because that we're all competing to be successful, aren't we? Coming in, everybody wants to be successful. No matter what you do in life, you want to be successful, and you want the trappings of being successful. Everyone says, "Oh, I'm not materialistic." Oh, bullshit. You know, everyone's materialistic. Some people are more materialistic and more driven by money than other people. Some people might want, more things like, people pat on back saying you're really good at that and what have you. We've all got our own benchmarks of where we see success. From my point of view, it's kind of flitted. I was very money driven for a period of time. Then I was very kind of like, I wanted my name to be, out there and everybody knew who I was and what I did and that I was good at what I did. And then I kind of phased in between two, where I then took a decision. I want to create a lifestyle environment for my family, and the best way for me to do it is probably to sacrifice being the stage hairdresser. And it's been about me and being more the business side of it, because I'm chucking shed loads of money at that side of it and it's not really getting me anywhere. So I need to probably stop doing that and concentrate on doing this. And, I think I told you this, my accountant, bless who I've had for like 25 years. And he used to say, I used to have this thing that I wanted my company to turn over £1 million.
Okay.
That's what it was my end goal for probably 3 or 4 years. And each year, and this is kind of like 97, 90, 2004, 2005. And we were just very close. We were a really big team, really good team. We just opened a second unit that looked like it might do all right, and we just kept chucking things at it. And he kept saying, "Look, mate, you need to keep an eye on the numbers here. We're nearly there. We're pushing. Yeah, but you need to look at your other numbers, mate. You're spending like there's no tomorrow." And I promised team, I'm going to take them to the venue, this castle in Scotland where me and Kelsey got married. So we're going to go there, we're going to have this big do. If we can break this £1 million, for Christ's sake, I just want to be $1 million. So to have a salon that turns on £1 million, that's the goal. And we did it. So we're going to early December, and we were quite close numbers wise. We were about 75 G's off. I'm like, right, come on, we're going to have it. And we were about a week and a half in, done it. Brilliant. We're going to have this big do. So I sit down with my accountant end of January. I says, fucking did it, man. We did it. I've not stopped celebrating this thing, Bobby Bull, big bollocks and that lot. And he says, you have, mate. He says, you spend 1.25 million quid. I went, what? He says, you're about 200 to 250 grand loss. How the fuck can I have lost that much money? He went, kept telling you. He says, turnover's ego. Your ego's out of control.
Yeah.
Profit is king. He went, you have no profit. He says, you're going to have to knuckle down and you're going to find some money. And he started to look at where the money was going, and it was very much going on these corporate things. Me being an hairdresser that everybody knew about, I was doing okay stuff, flying to America, flying all that was costing me as much money and I weren't earning any money, because there's no money in that scene. Yeah, it's just pure, you're going to be a celebrity, you're going to do all that. The business was the money, but I was spending as much money on that side of it as I was actually earning in this side of it. And to be fair, my team were becoming a bit disillusioned, because the ego hairdresser that I were, and not being there, being 2 weeks in States, 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, weren't good for family life because I weren't there. Kelsey was very much on her own, single parent for long periods of time, so that were really suffering. And it was kind of like, it was a massive wake-up call in my life that what's really important to you. What is really important is, if you want to go and be an hairdresser and be successful and be seen by your peers and spend ridiculous amounts of money on photo shoots and win awards and all that, if you want to go and do that, then sacrifice your family, get rid of business, because that's the only way you're going to do it. Or really, long term, what where you're at, and it was like, what the fuck have I been spending that money on? This is where I am. And basically, overnight, I just stopped. So I spoke to the people I was working for at Sebastian and said, I've done. They went, what are you talking about? What else have done? So I'm going to set up salon, I'm going to trace out my family, which I've not done for 12, 18 months. Very selfish, and I'm not doing travelling. I've just done. But we've got all these things I've booked and done, finished. Says, this is what's important to me. And this is what's important to me, not for 1 or 2 years like what this is. This is going to be important for the rest of my life. I says, I don't want to look back in 2 years' time and I've divorced and I've lost my business and think, why did I make them decisions? But I think that pull for that £1,000,000 and losing a lot more, that made me step back and think, where am I going? What am I doing in my life? Where am I going to end up? And I think that was a massive turnaround moment for me. It was frightening to be that much in debt, and and to cover that kind of money. And thankfully, we got out in a couple of years' time. But that's where we were at that particular time.
It's amazing how you start chasing numbers, and numbers take over your life. It's literally a number on a screen, on a spreadsheet somewhere that you're chasing. It means nothing really, but you get so obsessed with it, and you think, how old were you at this point when this happened?
I was 34, 35.
So you're about the same age as me now, and I think it's very easy at that point to start thinking you can take over the world and you want to be that. But I think every business owner at some point, no matter how big or small that business is, gets to that exact point where they go, it's spiraled for a few years this now, and I can see everything around me from a personal point of view going downhill. Mrs. relationship ain't great, kids aren't seeing me as much. I had my little one time when she was quite young, and she just didn't want to know who I was, because I wasn't around as much as I should have been. And then I was like the same thing where I was like, I just need to let off a little bit and put more hours in my week dedicated to time with them, and not time where I'm on my phone and messaging people and I'm on the calls. Time where it's like phones away, quality time, it's me and you now. And I think if you don't make that decision and you choose that lifestyle over your own family, it does just go down the pot. And I know business owners, coach them, and they might have done pretty well off the back of it, and because when your family's taken away, you've now got a lot more time in your hands to do what you want to do. Do you know what I mean? It's a massive portion of the stress to a certain degree, and they sometimes go on to do pretty good things and be even more successful. But there's always going to be that regret of like, what if? And I'm never judging anyone for that. I'm never judging a bloke or a woman for choosing their career over the family, because we all do what we think's right in the moment, don't we? But it's something I can't relate to, because I've had that moment before, as have you, and you've chosen family. And I think
I had a very hands-on dad. My dad did a long-distance lorry driver, so he kind of weren't there for 2 or 3 nights a week, because he was working away. But when he was there, he tried to be hands-on. He did a lot of cooking, a lot of cleaning, stuff like that. We're very much part of the family dynamic or whatever. And I always wanted to be an hands-on dad. You can't be that if you're not there. If you're in a different country or what have you and all that. And the mobile phone thing, you had a Nokia 8210. That you didn't do international calls on an 8210, trust me. It didn't work like that. So you really were cut off from them, you know what I mean? And I think very much cut off from the business as well. And so he just weren't the kind of dad that I thought I wanted to be. And like I said, I think it was an accumulation of a lot of things all happening at the same time. But it was a standalone thing for me, that it's not where I want to be. I'd like to have been that person. I always said that if the opportunities had come to me in my 20s, I'd have grabbed them and I'd have probably sacrificed the business, but I'd have gone with them, and I'd have tried to push it as far as I could go from a successful point of view, because that's getting in a plane, getting in a hotel, doing a model shoot, it would have been all right, that. But as soon as you go into a family dynamic, you've got other responsibilities, and I've got responsibilities to Kelsey, got responsibilities to girls who were really young. You know what I mean? Abby were 3.5, 4.5. Ella were a baby at this time. You know what I mean? Newborn. So, and it took a long time to try to get her to have another second child. So it just weren't. There were no. It was just and at no time. And somebody asked me not too long ago this. Do you have any regrets? And not particularly about this, because not a lot of people know about this situation, but do you have any regrets, full stop? And I said, no. I said, because you got to live by decisions you make. I says, and I'll look back and think, I should have done that differently. I says, but if you look back and you've got regrets, you're just not being true to yourself. And I went, there's nothing I've really regret. There ain't anything I've regret. I've done what I've done because I felt it was the right thing to do at that time. And that decision was the right decision to make for me, but more importantly for Kelsey and for the kids.
That for me is such an amazing story to tell. Like, first, I didn't expect Mark to share that today. I know you've spoken to me about that on a separate occasion, so thank you for sharing it, because it's, when you zoom out, you think about what it's like being a dad and you want to provide, but at the same time you want to be there. It's a very extreme version of the tipping scales of being a dad, isn't it? It's like, I want to be there, but I also want to provide. And if I try and provide too much, that quality time goes down with the family, and then vice versa. Like me and Ryan have both struggled with this on separate occasions, and yeah, it's a really, really tough one. So I genuinely didn't expect to share that, but appreciate it.
I think we've all worked, as you rightly, but and my wife's an incredibly hard worker, so she grafts as much as I do, and that's all right. You just got to understand. You want a lifestyle, you've got to go out and work. We can all stay at home and just be with his kids, but that's not healthy. You know what I mean? My kids have seen the mum dads go out and graft. They don't understand how hard we work, and my kids have both. They're grafters, and I can't ask them anything more than that. They're grafters. They both got very physical jobs, and they get up at 4:00 in the morning. They work at 5:00. They've never missed a day for being off sick, which is probably the most proudest thing I can say about my kids, because I know for a fact they'll be colleagues and they'll be their peers that ring in sick every time they've got a bit of cold or they've done it, and they don't. They get up, they get themselves dressed, they go to work, they get some tablets on board, they come home and they go to bed and they put some. And that is, if you can,
I'd say that's one of your greatest achievements.
I'm really proud of the fact that they are, and regardless of what successes they come out in life, they will get up and they'll do it. They're not laying down. They're not looking for excuses. I don't feel good today. I'm not going to go in, and I don't feel good about this. I don't feel good about that. They get up, and possibly they get up because they know if they don't get up and get up, I'll be knocking at the door going, "It's 5:30. You started work at 5:00. Why?"
What do they do, your kids?
They both work at Aldi in different things. Abby, the eldest, fell into the whole really supermarket thing during COVID. She was doing her A-levels. Didn't really know what she wanted to do career path-wise. Started working at Tesco's, got mentored by a person who really encouraged her. And I think in life, that's another thing that I'm really passionate about, mentoring. And I had somebody who kind of mentored me through my hairdressing career, who I still, think a lot of. I don't really see her very much, don't speak to her, but I will always speak really highly of her. I think for young people to have a mentor, that kind of thing, and that when I saw what I worked with my daughter, this lady just really liked her. I want you to come and be a deputy. I want you to come and do this, come and do that. Got a bit frustrated at Tesco's. Went to Aldi. They never take outsiders on. Took her as assistant manager at 21. Again, really, really young. And she's worked her way through, and hopefully within the next 18 months she'll have her own store. So by 25 she'll have her own store. And the salary package is very, very good with that. The little one has no idea what she wants to do. And that is just her mindset. Come and work for us hairdressing for a while. Even though she'll never be a hairdresser. And I think I would have liked to have done it, because there's a ready-made business there, and that succession, I always kind of like that. And I've always said that second-generation hairdressers are always far more successful than first-generation hairdressers.
Why is that?
Generally, because I can open doors for her that people couldn't open for me, because I have contacts in industry. So I know a lot of people that, my daughter's in hairdressing, can I get her on this team? Can I put her into this position? I'll go and introduce you to these people. Whereas I never had that. I spent 10, 15 years grafting to meet these people, and you shake a few hands when you get into your 30s. But by then, really, that your time's gone a little bit. So I could have put her into positions that she could have been foremost, but she just didn't have a natural talent for it and didn't want to do it. I think it's one of them careers, a bit like your guys' career. If you're not passionate about it, the people that you're coaching to are very quick to find out you're just doing this for moolah. And hairdressing is very similar to that. She didn't want to do it, and bless her, she wanted to earn more money. She said, "Dad, you don't pay me enough money. I want to earn more money, so I'm going to work with Abby." So she went to, and she's still really trying to find a path, really. She really, she's doing it. She's getting up at 5:00. She's coming in at 10:30 at night. She's grafting, can't fault her for that. She's earning the money. She's spending it more than she's earning. But that's her.
We've all been there.
That's her personality. She's in that phase at the moment. But, she's grafting, and if you earn it, you have every right to spend it and enjoy it and live your life. Great on you. But she's still kind of not sure what she wants to do. I think the other thing, young people, they almost want that kind of bolting light flash that this is your destiny. And I don't know about you guys. I fell into mine, as I said at the right beginning of this, I fell into mine through the most coincidental thing ever. And 40 years later, I'm still doing it and still enjoy doing it. And they started enjoying doing it, but it never would have wanted to do it. Never thought about doing it. And I think sometimes they're so blinkered that this is not going to work out for me. It's not what rather than think, Joe, what I'm going to do this, and a bit like you said, right. You can do it for a short period of time, put 100% in it. If then something else comes up, switch and change. I think that's really good that they switch and change, because it gives them different opportunities. It shouldn't just be a career thing for. And that, like, my dad started lorry driving in the army, then went to lorry driving. He would have never thought, I'm not going to lorry drive next week. I'm going to go and do something else. He was a lorry driver, and that was badge he wore, and he wore it all his career. My mum were in teaching. She never thought about doing anything else. She was just, she was going to be a teacher. Whereas now I think it's great that they kind of, I'll do 6 months here, 6 months there, and what have you. But it's almost like they're waiting for that perfect job to say, it doesn't exist. I mean, if you enjoy it 65% of the time, you're doing all right.
Soon as you turn 16, I just encourage everyone, get as many different jobs as you can. Move around. If you get a bit bored, don't have any loyalty to these big corporations, because you are replaceable, and treat them the same way. Go and get loads of experience. And there comes a point maybe in your kind of early to mid 20s when you realise that, right, what is it I want to start doing now? But that's built on a foundation of all these different experiences, different managers, different role models, different people you've worked with, different passions. And I guess, you can get quite lucky and find something quite early on that you love. And for you, that was hairdressing. Unfortunately, you stumbled across that. You walked into that salon, eyes wide, and thought, this is a bit of me, I fancy this. I guess I was kind of the same in gym. Like, I went to the gym, loved it, like, enjoyed pushing my own body, fell in love with it, went down some of the routes education-wise, but always came back to it and thought, there's one passion for me. It's one thing I love doing. How do I earn money from this? And I got some great advice when I was a kid. It was like, find out what you will do for free and learn how to get paid from it. And that for me is something I've always kind of lived by, and tried to push on to other coaches who've either worked here or I've kind of spoken with or have thought about dipping the toes in the industry. It's like, would you do this for free? Would you do coaching for free? Because I had to do a lot of coaching sessions for free when I first started, just to work out if it was for me or if I could do it, because I've trained myself for 12 years. Can I now go and do this on someone else? And would you do it for free? Would you turn up and do this on days when, like I said, you're sick, you're ill, or are you going to make excuses? Are you going to find ways to get out of the industry? Because at mid-20s, that's really when you want to be. I mean, I started this when I was 23. And so you're at that point where it's like, I'm choosing something that I might be doing for the rest of my life now. So I've got to be quite careful about what I want to do. And when I finished university, I had a degree in graphic design, and we're going on a trip to London, and we went down all the design studios and stuff, and I knew straight away, not me this. These aren't my people. They're talking in languages and drinking mocha lattes in the local, this ain't me, this.
But that's exactly the same, that tribalism. That's exactly the same as what that environment I walked into. Walking into that salon thinking, these all look really cool, you're really pretty, I love the music, I like how you're dressed, you're not wearing overalls and you're kind of working a bit of metal. You're like, oh my God, look at this. And you're all going out having a few drinks at night and socialising together. You're all in bars and clubs and you know the best places to go. I want to be part of your gang. I don't want to be part of that gang. I want to be part of your gang. I aspire to be in your tribe as such.
High vis and work boots is a little bit different.
Absolutely, totally different. And I passed I miss it happy. The idea of the guy that got me into hairdressing, he only stayed in it for about 12 to 16 weeks, and he went to it with his dad at BSC.
Oh really?
The British Steel.
Oh wow!
And so
that was never him. He was in that environment thinking.
He went in. He went in because the girlfriend who we were seeing at the time, much older than him, she was a hairdresser. So he went into a hairdresser and he got the big long hair and he was full new romantic, painted nails, everything. I weren't quite as full on as him, and so he thought, if I go and work with my dad at BSC, his dad was really hyper at BSC, I'm going to get slaughtered here. You think the stuff...
Did you ever painted nails?
No.
Did you
can only
imagine. Come on, be
no, can I say, the only time my nails were painted, and again, what happened now, because we wear gloves, is when we used to take colours off. Okay. So you take some bright colours off or black off, and you just stain your nails in your hands.
He's getting excuses out now. But if there's any pictures of him with fingernails, that's what it were.
I thought you were going to blame girls.
and I come up on a relatively rough council estate, but you'd be stood there next day with your long hair, waiting to catch bus to go to work, and you'd be getting your bus money out, and you look at your hands and think, oh Jesus Christ, I look like I got my mates. I got my long hair, an old fella be stood there with cap on and what have you, looking at it thinking, He's another one of them puffed and swivelly heads. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of, 1980s were a real transition period, weren't it? From proper working, massive manufacturing, British Steel, British Leyland, all that, going into these new industries and these new kind of things where, pop stars and everybody, that kind of male, female, there were a real blend in it then. So you did see a lot of kind of very different people on buses.
Yeah. You still see those people, and it's probably more embraced nowadays, which is I think a good thing. Definitely.
Individuality is massively underrated. Be who you want to be, dress how you want to dress, don't put your phone up, put it down, be comfortable in your own skin, and just celebrate what you got really, and not what you ain't got.
Yeah. Agreed.
Even though I'm in an industry that's there, trying to make people feel better about ourselves, trying to make them look like somebody else, and somebody's taking an Instagram picture, you go, I can't really do that. Why? Because that person's 25 years younger than you, she's got way better hair than you, and it's not going to look like that, is it?
Yeah. But you've got to, I think, probably why people come to you, I would imagine, is because you're honest.
Yeah.
As well. Because you're not going to bullshit them and go. And if you try and bullshit them, it doesn't look how they want. They would have preferred you at the start to say, this ain't going to happen.
And we teach that. We very much teach that. Don't ever do and say anything you are not 100% sure you can achieve. Because the first thing that's going to happen is that person's going to pick a phone up. She's going to ring someone and say, I don't like it, it's not how I want it, and then they're just going to post bad things about you. So in this age now, where posting things is so kind of, so just can't do it. So just never ever promise. Under promise all the time. So always. If they like it better than what you think, brilliant. So, but be honest with them. I'm really sorry, I can do this and this and this, but I can't do that because of this reason. Don't be saying, you can't be honest and go, I can't do that because you're 16 stone heavier than her, and all that. That's not going to really bring you build a clientele. But have an honest conversation and say, I can't do that because this and this.
I always remember sat Mark, Station Gym Cafe, and you come in, and I remember the first thing you said were like, this is not me, this. Like, I'm not a gym guy. I bring it back full circle. I remember saying to you, like, all right, he's someone who's going to value this honesty. I'm saying you don't have to be. I'm like, just come in once a week. If you take to it, you take to it. If you don't, that's fine. But just know, here's the benefits. And to see that and reminisce on, like, when I first sat with you, to be like, Brad, where can I get some dumbbells for home? Brad, can I have some stuff for home?
Again, though, I think, my wife bullied me into you. And I mean, I'm not talking about full-on bullying into you. She was going chirping on about it for months. I'm going to put you in a session with Brad. No, you're fucking not.
Is that how you two knew each other originally? Yeah,
because Kelsey knew from Firehouse, didn't she? And then Kelsey were doing PT with Brad. She said, you need to do something. And we were a strange period because we set the family home. We've gone into rented. So I'm a project member. I like a project. And we've just had a massive one now, renovating this new house. And I like a project. I like something to focus my attention on outside of work. So in a rental, I've got nothing to do. And not just that, this rent house had this massive garden, but they had a gardener. So I couldn't even do a bloody garden. He cut the grass. I used to look quick. I go sit on mower and everything. I'm like, kind of log, I sit on mower, happy as land in me. No, we couldn't even do that. So I got nothing. It's just, you need to have some focus. Because, I do like a drink. You're drinking too much. You're eating what you would eat, but you're not doing anything. I'd stopped playing team sports by then. Because I did play over 35s up to being 50. And you've got to get yourself sorted out. No, I'm not going, Brad. No. I says, if he shouts at me, we're going to fall out. I says, he's not going to shout. Why is he going to shout at you? Come on, you can do more. Put more weight on it.
I would say Brad's the opposite. You know now, Brad's like the opposite of that.
He's not going to do it. So if he's Sergeant Manger, another 5 kgs, come on, fucking. I mean, wife can pick heavier than you.
You're thinking it's going to be the Arnold gyms, aren't you? You think he's going to be stood there like tight t-shirt.
I've said all those things, by the way, but much nicer.
So this is not, it's not like that. He likes football. You'll talk about football, you'll be all right. So I'm like, right. So I said to her, what do I need to wear? She went, what do you mean, what do you need to wear? Just wear some tracky bottoms and a top. There's no dress code then, because I'm going back to the fringe environment, but no, there's no dress code. Right. And I have to say again, I pulled up to that car park like 20 minutes early. Fucking, what am I doing here? What's he going to ask me to do here? And relatively fit, Jesus Christ. And that anxiety built up in that car to get into that. And again, I explained this there's nothing, right, come on. And I went in and obviously, it worked out. I'm still paying the money, so it must be doing all right on that. 2 years down the line and what have you. But then I think you've got to have a relationship, and like my clients have my relationship with me, I'm not a gym person. Not because I don't like gyms, funny enough, because I would go to Firehouse and I'd feel really comfortable there. That's not my issue. Time's my issue. So I've seen your setup downstairs now here, and I've got my garage emptied out soon because my garage has been full of house things that's now getting put into the house. And I spoke to you about it. I have, I'm gonna, because for me to get to Firehouse takes me 35 minutes.
Does it?
And then do my hour.
Yeah.
And then I'll get another 25 minutes in. Well, I can do 45 minutes at home, have a shower, done, and I can be at work 45 minutes earlier than I would have done if I had gone to the gym.
Yeah.
And my brain thinks, time management, I can do my 3 sessions at home. And I have been very good up until, I have been very good actually, up until like my back injury, doing my 3 sessions at home, 3 sessions at home, 3 sessions at home. And I'll do that, and I'll do my 45 minutes in the morning, 7 till 7:15, in shower, and I'm still in car for 8:15, done. Whereas going to a gym, and I would always have to, I couldn't do it at night. I don't have people train at night. I think that's weird. But doing it, it's just a time management point of view.
I think, I've wrote about this before, but consistency and convenience go hand in hand. And I think if you're going to stick to something, it needs to be convenient enough, but also, if you can do it for long periods of time, there's a bit of a caveat there where you can get very bored of the same. Like I've had a lad at the moment recently, he's had some awesome results, but he's just got a set of 10 kg dumbbells. That's all he's got at home. He's had some fantastic workouts, brilliant. It's all new stuff, but there's only so many reworking of those 10 kg dumbbells in a program you can do before it starts to get a bit. And now he's just joined Firehouse halfway, and he's like a little kid in a candy shop now. He's like a kid going to playground for the first time, and it is just so much kit there. If you can have something in between those two, it's not like a 10 kg set of dumbbells, but it's not an unbelievable facility. It's just exactly what you need. Some dumbbells, a treadmill, I actually wrote an article recently about like the perfect home gym for less than 300 quid. And just variety of kit makes a massive difference. Then it's knowing how to program it, which is where Brad comes in.
Right.
But as long as you can be excited about those new workouts and there's different stuff and you enjoy the environment and the convenience of it is there, you'll stick to it forever.
You've been very good with that. To take me out of tea, we do get videos right. Do this, do that. We've probably got built a repertoire of about 12 different exercises now. We set they start off at 5, but they're adjustable ones
are perfect.
So they go up to 20, from 12 to 20, 10 to 24s.
Brilliant.
So it's like, right, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this. If you're outside, we can do a farmer's walk. So you can do this. So if you've got a bench, we can do that. So there's a bench as well. So you can do these kind of things, but it's still going to have an element of restriction because you can only do so much. So I would probably build it up a little bit more and go, right, it's not going to bring it for bad because it's still only going to be one session. But I just don't think I would, and you're right, because my wife will go to the gym. She loves the environment, so that she trains with a mate, goes to the gym, does that thing, and she likes that environment. But because she's getting up and going to the gym, then I can mop around, have a bit of a tidy up because I've got massive OCD. So I'll have a tidy up downstairs because she'll have left her shit out. She's gone to the gym, do that, then think, right, I'll go and do my 45 minutes, I'll have a shower, and we probably start work at roughly about the same time, about half 8, 8:45 type thing. She's done her bit, I've done my bit, and she's doing 3 sessions a week, so I can do 3 sessions a week. What's hard is that if she stops her doing her sessions, it's hard, the pull for me to go, I'm going to still do mine because I'm only doing them downstairs.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll do it if I do it at gym. She misses one, I don't think, it's just easy to go, should we have another brew? Yeah, come on, we'll have another coffee, we'll stay in. We'll stay in, watch a bit of telly, and we'll do that. Whereas, I will still go downstairs, I'll still go and do mine. And I think if I'm on site, it will move into garage now, we don't lounge where it's been. It will move into, I will still get up and I will still do it. And still enjoy doing it. And I don't think I would enjoy doing it, but I do enjoy doing it.
You're probably at that point now after 2 years where if you do say, I'm going to stay on settee and have a brew, you feel guilty. You sit there and you get into work later on and you go, damn it, I was a bit. I could have, would have, should have. Could have, would have, should have. And that's where your mindset's at, which is good. So we're probably at the point now where investing in something like a better home gym is a good thing. I've had it before where clients have come on, money's no object, shall we say, and I'm like, right, what do I need to spend on getting my home gym awesome? So I tell them all this kit and they spend 2, 3, 4, 5 grand or whatever, don't get used. And I made that mistake quite early on when I first started because I was like, great, if we can get them a great home setup, but now I always go, let's start with a pair of 10 kg dumbbells. Just get some 10 kg dumbbells. If you can commit to that, we'll get more, we'll add more. And it's awesome sometimes to take them on that journey where they get this like small little space in the garage that we're surrounded by shit, basically, like storage boxes. And all of a sudden, that gym just gets bigger and bigger, and the whole garage now is just their gym. And they've somehow managed to kind of like deal up all this equipment with obviously advice from me. And that's really cool. And I've been down before and actually had sessions in their gyms because I hear about these things and they'll send me pictures or videos of them doing these exercises for feedback. And I'll sometimes go down there and have a session. I always find that what's weirder from photos and videos, the place always seems bigger on the photos and videos. And when you get in there, you're like, this ain't quite safe. Yeah, I remember. But, that's quite a cool process. But start with the basics. 100%.
But it's learning the consistency into it. And I think, let's face it, how many people go out, buy a treadmill, and it just ends up being a clothes horse or a bike, and it's in bedroom, it's just there. And so I think by doing this, I built the consistency to want to do it. And I do want to do it. Do I do it all the time? Absolutely not. Do I live the most healthiest lifestyle? Okay, absolutely not. No chance. No, that's absolutely not. But you just got to do a little bit, and it can be consistent in doing that little bit. Yeah. And I would not go out and buy, because I think if I spent $5,000 on a piece of kit and I didn't feel like it for a certain period of time, I'd feel quite guilty that I've wasted that money.
Yeah.
Whereas if I probably spent 400 or 500 quid on kit, these dumbbells were, I think, about 124 quid. So I spent a little bit more. That just to vary the kind of stuff that I'm doing, so you're not getting bored. Then if you go through a little period where you probably, you might want a couple of weeks off, or you might not feel great, you might have a little injury, you've not got that guilty back head, we spent all that money and it's just sat there in garage. I noticed that though, my wife would be like, there's all that shit in garage, what's that? It's just getting dusty, innit? Yeah. Just got spiders all over it. Well, you're not going to touch that. Can't park car in there, can't do this in there. Kids are just laughing at you. Dad, what's happening to that like muscle body that you're going to have? Because all that kit's in there not doing now. Whereas if it's just kind of semi-hidden in garage, it's not a big focal point. And you can pick it up, do it when you feel you want to do it, put it down and not feel guilty that it's not the be all and end all, because it's not the be all. For me, for you guys, it is. It's a be all. For me, it's just it's getting me a few brownie points so that when I'm doing things I shouldn't be doing, like drinking a bit too much, maybe not sleeping as much as what I should do, stressing out about work, I've got a bit of a release that I can go in there on my own. And I do like my own company as well. For a person his career is based around sociability, I'm probably happiest when I'm on my own. Which pisses my wife off no end. Absolutely does, because you just want to be on your own. Last Wednesday, she said, we're going to have a day together. The dread on my face. I said, what do you mean? We're just going to have a day together. I know you've been doing a lot of decorating, doing all this right refurb and what have you. We're just going to have a day together. We're going to go to this, and we're going to go to a furniture shop, and we're going to look at some settees. All right. And then we're going to go to the supermarket and pick some things up for teas. All right. And then we're going to come home and we're going to sort them trees out, because you said you were going to sort them trees out. But I'm going to help you with them trees.
You're all right, love. I'll sort the trees out. Yeah.
So my mum and dad come round, and she knew she was winding me up. And she said to my mother, she said, we're about halfway through the day here. She said, we're having a day together, Nancy. Mum says, how are you finding that, Mark? I went, you're fucking joking. I just couldn't wait to go to bed.
I don't think it's just them.
And then you've got to sit next to her.
Yeah, that's it.
Should be asleep then, though. Should be telling me, can you take another 2 foot off that tree? What way for tree? No.
I think it's them couples dynamics, isn't it? Everybody's different, and they will keep us accountable. I know my missus certainly keeps me accountable, saying, you said, Brad, you said you'd do this. What are you playing at? And I don't know, I think there's a lot to be said about, again, to bring this back to, I suppose, the number 57 that you dropped earlier, Mark.
You keep reminding me of that.
I do, yeah. I'm amazed that you said it, to be honest. That's it. I'm going to keep going. There'll be people listening to this who've got relatives, or maybe them themselves, who are, they sort of might feel like they're a bit past it, like, I can't start something new. Like, have you got anything to directly say to them about, look?
Yeah, you just need a nagging wife that books you a session with Brad. I think challenging yourself at any age, and that was, I would say that was the biggest, taking me out of my comfort zone, which over the last 15 years is same friendship groups, roughly, doing roughly the same things, the kids' lives, home life, work life, had all been very, very consistent. So doing something like that was taking me out of my comfort zone, which is a good thing. And actually, Joe, and again, the reason over the last couple of years I've probably been far more passionate with learners in academy about doing things that challenge you, having that anxiety, controlling that anxiety. We're very funded around how I felt sat in that car park, walking in, not knowing my OCD is in a way that I don't like doing new things because I need to have it in my head planned out what I'm doing, where I'm going to be. So straight away, walking in there and I've got this app thing, I need to, where am I fucking tapping this thing here?
Yeah.
What? I tried door didn't open because there's a button for door. Why would there be a button for door? There's an handle for a door. So straight away I've nearly smashed my face in door, I've walked in. There's people on reception, people all sat there having breakfast. I'm thinking, this is fucking going tits up straight away. Presence thing here to open this new experience of God knows what with this person I know nothing about apart from what my wife says. So straight away my anxiety levels are absolutely off the chart. So you've just got to challenge, because if you don't, you're just going to plod, and I don't want to plod for the next, hopefully, 20 years of my life. You know, I don't want to plod, you know, I want to kind of still do things that are different, exciting and what have you. And that can be experiences we do as a family or as a couple and what have you. But also you've got to do things on your own. Work now is not going to challenge me because I've done it for that long. I could do it with my eyes sleep. So you've got to find new challenges and do things outside of that. And business will always challenge me because I need to still make sure that my business is still doing what it's doing so we can enjoy the lifestyle we've got. But it's not going to... At my stage in my career now, nothing's going to change dramatically. It's just going to continue as it is, hopefully, just on a nice steady trajectory. So doing things that you're not used to doing, experiencing things that are new, like we're going to Sri Lanka next year, very different. We've never seen that part of the world before. So we're going to go and do that next year with some friends. That's what makes work worth, because if you're just going to do the same things, what's the point in stressing about work and money and stuff like that? Because you're just going to plod along doing the same things.
Great advice, that. Yeah, really well put as well, because your whole life has been about challenging yourself, working hard, pursuing new things, and for you not then to factor that into your own health and fitness, it only makes sense that you would have enjoyed it, really. And obviously 2 years later, you know, you wouldn't... I mean, I've got this picture of you walking through the front door, not being able to open it and going, nah, it's not for me, this. Straight back to the car.
It was very fortunate that I actually just saw that big push button there and thought, why didn't I see that to start off with? And then just started, but you could have quite easily thought, you know what? You can have my money. I'm not bothered. I'm going to go back. I'm going to promise my wife I'm going to start playing number 45s, which is even slowing the walking football. Part of mine were trying to get me into walking football. I'm like, I'm not sure I'm going to do that.
Walking football, that sounds as boring.
Not do it.
No,
do you know what? It's not at all, and it's
really?
No, not at all. It's really hyper. I think the thing is, and my mate, Charlie Dent, bless him, who plays walking football, he plays football at a very, very good level when he was younger, and now plays walking football. And he said the people that go were always very good.
Oh, really?
He says, but they want to release semi-retired, retired. Yeah. He says, so they weren't the knuckleheads that used to have 10 pints and then come on a Sunday morning basically wanting to beat people up because they were too drunk to beat them up on Saturday night. He says, and they weren't quite. He says they were good semi-pro players.
Technical.
Exactly. He says, so we might be playing walking football, but there's still elbows. Okay. There's still lots of shoulders in there.
So we're back after that little mishap with the camera, overheating, conversations too hot for Mark. So that's clearly what's happened. Too much. As I mentioned, Mark, I've probably got one more question, which is all about, it's a bit of a summary, I suppose, of your parenting experience, the 3 words. I don't know if you got as far into Luke Staton's episode that you said you'd prep for. So I always like to ask about what 3 words would you use to describe your parenting experience? But it's very on the spot, as always.
Challenging, rewarding, expensive.
We've never had expensive
before.
Expensive. Yeah, I like that.
Expensive. They're expensive.
Yeah.
They are. Well, they are. You know, currently every parent wants to give their kids what they didn't have. That is just, you know, well, every good parent, let's say. So some children, unfortunately, don't have that. But most parents that we want to have their kids to experience life that they didn't have, you know, and that was very much what we wanted to do, you know. And to be oddly, I think some of the repercussions of Gen Z and what have you now are because of that. And we were in the rented house. It would have been about 3 years ago. A friend of mine is a massive Facebook page. I mean, 4 posts, 5 posts a day, and he put this thing out on a Sunday, this massive big monologue about about young kids don't respect their elders, don't respect this, don't respect that. They're all spoiled individuals. They're all and it was just this massive. And then all these people started weighing in with likes and comments about, yeah, you're so right about that. They're overprivileged and they expect all this and And it was Sunday. And Sunday's my favourite day. Me and my wife love Sundays. We prep lunch, we have a few drinks, we have a laugh, we put some music on. That we have a few more drinks, have lunch. It's a really nice day, and we were in the kind of middle of kind of this, and I'm reading it, and the phone's just going mental. And I said to Kelsey, I says, these people they're all putting these posts on, jumping on this bandwagon. Do they not realise it's them that's done it? And she went, what are you talking about? I said, I can't not leave it. So I just said, hi Sam, you all right, Paul? Long time no speak. Read your post. I've read everybody else's post. Can I just say, why do you think they're like that? I said, they're like that because people like you, people like me, wanted to give their kids what they didn't have. I says, we had the financial ability to do it. I said, so they had dancing classes, horse riding, swimming, diving, 2 holidays, skiing. I went, did you have it? I said, they had them. I said, and I don't think my kids are spoiled. My kids they're not financially spoiled, they're experience spoiled. Okay. Because me and Kelsey wanted our kids to experience things. Kelsey wanted to horse ride, she never did because she couldn't afford it. I never had a foreign holiday with my parents, so straight away our kids were in arms. Right, we're going abroad. I don't think they're going to remember. They've got no, we're going to, well, off we go, because we had the financial ability to do that. So they expect it because that's all they've known, and it's all right. And I've told you this loads of times. I used to do a thing where I used to take my kids to where I used to live, where I was brought up, the house. Okay. I used to put them in car. I used to drive there to this council estate in Rotherham that's quite run down now.
Is the house still there?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I used to park outside, and these kids are in car seats in bike. They weren't comprehending what I was doing.
Oh, really? Okay.
No. One was about 4, the other would have been about 7.
You're going to be ill. You're going to be ill on that trip, right?
And I said, do you see that house? And they go, yeah. That's where I lived, with Nan and Grandad. I says, and Colin and Uncle Philip, we lived there. And we had shared bedrooms. You'd have shared bedrooms, you got your own bedrooms. I says, you're very lucky you got your own bedrooms. I says, I never went to the following holiday. You've went on your following holiday. You had horse riding lessons last week, didn't you? I never had horse riding lessons. And I sit there, and Kelsey would say, where are you? I'm parked outside Mum and Dad's old house. Oh, for Christ's sake. They're not good.
It's the third time this week, Mark.
They're not going to get it. I went, they're going to get it eventually. I'm telling you, they're going to get it eventually. So,
but it just shows that from an early age, you were very set on them, like being aware of how good they had it. Whereas maybe some parents aren't of that same thing.
But even now, they won't realise that. And they're in their 20s. They'll not realise that until they have kids of their own. Yeah. And I really worry that, that the economic times we went through with the housing market, and we moved 3 times in 2.5 years, 3 years, me and Kelsey. We did houses up, sold them, did houses up, sold them, did houses up, sold them. So as well as the business doing well, we had the benefit of that, which is that housing market boom during 92, 94, 96. So we were lucky with it, and we were just generating these funds, which are good for us lifestyle. That's not going to happen now. So our kids are going to have to proper graft. And my worry now is that, and there's loads of stats out there that the kids, my kids' generation will never be as wealthy as their parents. That's the first time in society it's ever happened. And that's going to be really, really hard for them. And I'm not a massive fan of inherited wealth, and there won't be a massive inherited wealth because, as I said earlier, they're expensive because they're spending it as much as what they're going to do it type thing. And I'm leaving this planet with what I came in with, which is absolutely fuck all. So because of that, they're going to have to generate their own lifestyles, and the work ethic will take them so far with that. But not having them economic booms that I were fortunate to have is going to make a massive impact on them. So their kids will not have they'll not have the multiple holidays, 2 holidays abroad a year. They'll not have the ski lessons. They might have some of that. And I hope that my kids don't have a guilt complex that they had stuff, which is the reverse of what it was done for. Because I never had it, so I wanted them to have it, and Kelsey wanted them to have it. But I hope they don't feel guilty they can't give their kids that it. Because unless they marry somebody, because they won't, they'll have good, solid, incomes, and they'll do all right, but they'll never have that kind of ability to be able to go, yeah, of course we can just go and do that. Yeah, we can go. And me and Kelsey worked hard, but we also had that ability to be able to go and do that. And they didn't get spoiled, and they didn't, it astounds me that the amount of people at 18, the parents buy them a car, really, really normal kind of family backgrounds, and they've got a Mercedes A-Class 180 AMG. I'm like, oh, they've got this, and I'm thinking, what, why would you buy, they're going to crash it. Everybody crashes the first car. I've not, you crashed your first car?
I've got a funny story. I drove it straight into a lamppost.
Yeah, I ended up on my side in a car park.
So every single person could. So yeah, they did. And the grandmas left, the great grandmas left them somewhere. So yeah, they got driving lessons at 17, which is like the new norm now. Everyone gets a driving lesson at 17, and as soon as they passed, they got a use of a vehicle. And for the first year, we paid for insurance, and that seems now like that is. And when I go around. It's actually really awful, actually, because if you go to the academy and, we've got like 47, 48 kids in that, and all the ones that are over 17 into 18, I would probably say 75% of them have got cars. Mm-hmm. And some have better cars than I drive. I'm like, what do you drive? Well, I'm not driving anything that's more than 3 years old. What? Really? I said, well, I'm not driving. I've got this, I've got that. But what do your mum and dad do? What do they must really, they must be going into debt, or that's not a good thing, because they're not going to be able to do that for theirs, because they will probably not have that income. So it's gonna have a really negative effect, that they're going to feel guilty. They didn't have the life experiences that they had, because they can't generate that amount of money, or they're going to get into loads and loads of debt, and it's going to cause even more trouble.
You're right. I think people aren't aware of what's on the horizon, and it's a quote we've mentioned a few times, but tough times create strong men create easy times create weak men.
Yeah.
And I think we're in this cycle now of it having been pretty good, now it's getting to that point where it's going to get pretty bad for the next generation. And the same way you might not, your mum and dad might not have given everything to you that you wanted, you've been able to provide that to your kids. There's a possibility that your kids might not be able to provide that to their
I agree with that. I totally agree with that. But I think the fundamental is that, and we've spoke about this earlier on, the fundamental work ethic and love for your kids. That my mum and dad's objective were that you were fed, clean, clothes on your back, looked after, know you were looked after, safe. That's exactly the same as I brought my kids up. Yeah. I've just been lucky enough that I've been able to do some external stuff with the other things, but that core has been there. And the thing if my kids look back on this in later life and go, what did your mum and dad teach you? I would only go, well, they taught us that. That's what they taught us. And if they've got the trappings to be able to do the other external things, fantastic, great, well done. But I think what it'll go back to is more simplistic things that, we can't do the add-ons, but that you're loved, you're going to be fed, you've got a warm house, you've got and I think we do need to go back in some respects, because I think we have got overprivileged, we're over kind of like possession based, and possibly we do need to strip it back where these kids that are feeling a little bit insecure about themselves, are feeling that they're not, maybe we've got to go back to that core kind of thing that you're all right to be what you are. If you're emotional, tell me you're emotional. And maybe parents because you've got to remember, most of the parents of the kids I now teach are in their mid-30s. They're kind of like your kind of age, mid-30s, 40s. I'm nearer the grandma and granddad's age. So when they say, how old are you, Mark? So 57. Oh, my nana was 60 last week. We're going, oh, for fuck's sake. You're still thinking in my head, I'm still there. I'm still kind of like, relative, like 31-year-old man. And I'm not 57. So to kind of think, well, I'm close to your grandma than I am your mum and dad. So there's been a kind of generation in behind mine. I was quite late to have kids at like 31, 32. So, there's like a generation in between that. But we maybe need to strip it back and say it's not about these materialistic things. It's a bit about, that do you feel that, your parents love you, your parents are doing everything they can for you. And that might be better for them, I think, going forward. Because all the social media stuff, all the things that you see everybody else doing, and we all know, everything, I would say 75% of what's put on social media is bullshit and bravado.
Yeah.
It's bullshit bravado. And, my kids we used to have parties for when they were certain ages because there were alcohol involved and stuff like that. We didn't think it was appropriate. They went to these parties. And then we'd get, look, such and such is party. They're having the best time ever. I went, they're not. They are this best party they've ever been to. It's not. Why do you say that? Because I'm sending pictures and messages. I said, if I were having the best party I've ever had, do you know where my phone would be? In my pocket. Because I were having time of my life. Anybody that scouts a party taking pictures and saying it's best party is a bullshitter. Neither one, they're absolutely emotionless, or two, they don't know what a good time is. Because they're just too busy taking pictures. It's like people taking pictures of food. Best meal I've ever had, just eat it. It's going cold. Fucking eat it. You don't need to share that with everybody because it's only going to make somebody feel bad that they're not eating that meal. So just, you enjoy that meal, it's your experience. You don't have to share the world with everything.
Old school in a very refreshing way, that. Yeah, very much so.
I agree.
It's got some positives, and I do see some positives, but I think we're now getting to a stage where the negatives are probably at 70% of what the 30% plus is. I think for your guys that are more in it, you might see a totally different to that. But from my generation could make mistakes. It were never photographed. It were never posted. You kind of were picked up by your mates, you were put in a taxi, you were dealt with, it was sorted. Now it's everywhere, it's living with you forever. And I've got a client of mine who's got a company that employs people, a recruitment company. They actually employ somebody specifically to go through social media accounts. Wow. Because they need to know the background of people, and everything that's posted stays there forever. It's just there forever. So that one night where you are absolutely blind, or that one night you said that inappropriate thing that might have come across as being racist, homophobic, whatever it be, all of a sudden it's going to stop that opportunity, that door opening, because you were just not the person you are. But people see that because that were posted online. And I think you're not allowed to make mistakes now because they're online, whereas my generation could make a lot of mistakes, and you were taught the lessons by your peers. So if you stepped out of line with your football mates, they might get you out of a fight that day, but next day at training, you'll get battered because you let us down. You said this, you did that. Yeah. We told you not to go near that girl. We told you that she would got a boyfriend. We said this, we said that. And I did the delivering as much as I did the taking. And so you got taught by your peers, people you respected.
That's a whole other podcast there, isn't it? Yeah. Not those stories.
Not like online kind of bandits that just kind of then going to hold a grudge, not knowing the circumstances of why you said that, why you did that. And you'll be horrified that you said or did that. But that's out there now, and it's out there to the world. And I think I'd be locked up, mate. Seriously, I would be locked up if everything I said and did were recorded.
It's funny because my accountant told me that HMRC now do that with people when they're suspecting tax fraud. Yeah. So they'll go through, they have teams of people, not just an employee, teams of people who will go through social media accounts of people to try and get evidence on people for spending habits. And my accountant was really like, he's like, me, if you ever, look, for the record, HMRC, I try and be as clean as I can, but she did warn me that if you ever, not putting something through, be careful, because HMRC will look at like what you're buying, what you're purchasing, what you're putting online, where you're going on holidays, all these things. But
why wouldn't you though? Because your books to HMRC are saying that you've got a negative company, you're not taking any drawings, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, and then you've got pictures in Barbados at Sandals, and you've got a Range Rover Sport on your drive, and the post on you thinking, why would you? It's like when people post holiday pictures. There's a lot of like insurance companies now saying that if you do this, they're not going to insure you, are you? So in taxi, going on holiday, at airport, having a drink, and they're thinking, you might say every burgling area is going, empty house, brilliant, let's go and burgle it then.
Yeah, you have got to be careful. But you also, I think friends and family sometimes want to see what's going on.
But I think that's the difference between, if you're posting to your close network of friends, that's brilliant, that. And I think in the beginning with Facebook, particularly, and I don't do any social media, by the way. I think the salon does a look a bit, but personally, I don't do anything.
Brad mentioned,
I've got one friend on my social media. One. And I don't even I don't have my core five friends.
Who is it? Is it Brad?
My wife.
It's not. It's definitely not me. Okay.
My wife, and that's because basically you have to have one friend to have an account, don't you? Okay. And that's transpired from the actual business accounts. So I have one friend to my wife, and that's it. And even my mates, and we don't do social media. I do the old school thing. Pick it up. Or we've got to have a WhatsApp group, and we do use that quite a bit now. But you just pick one. What are you doing? On a pint? All right, see you at pub an hour. See ya. Bye.
I love that. That's class,
isn't
it. What I miss as a kid is like going around, and you never get this now with kids, knocking on your mate's house door.
You mean?
Mum would answer the door, can you come out to play today? And you're like, yeah, sure. You come downstairs, you got on park and stuff. There was, again, that's a human interaction. It's something that's being built and learnt. But God, it's fascinating conversations today, because you've got very old school views, but you're also very in touch with what's currently going on, which is quite rare. Some people, like you said, maybe the guy who posted that thing online, very actually out of touch with what's going on in today's world and why it is the way it is. Whereas you've got this old school mentality, but understand why this current society is the way it is.
Having kids at the age that they are, 23, 20, not kids anymore, to be fair, young people, and so having grown, they've come through that whole explosion of social media, so we've lived it. And I think also the academy, being in contact with so many young people, every single 46 kids we've got at the moment, so you're constantly surrounded by it. So because of that, you pick up on that, you're observant to that, you see what they're doing, that the phones are in their hands, you see that they can't concentrate on anything for more than 20 minutes because the concentration span's like mental, so you're seeing it from both sides. So if it were up to me, I would be very old school about it, but we can't go back. We can't go back. We're just going to kind of adapt and go, do we need to be posting as much? Do we need to be not thinking about what we're doing for ourselves? Do we need to think the negative effects when we put negative stuff on there? We need to just think about it a little. We're making the same mistakes with AI that were made with social media.
I think so.
We're running with it, and we've got no control over it. And we ran with social media, and we had no control because we only saw the good of it. We never saw the negative. And at the moment, AI is great. Chatbot GPT. Some of the things that in the academy, the kids, look at this. It's just basically showed that question. It's just doing this. It's just written all this stuff, and brilliant. But it's a snowball effect like social media, where we are. When we had the very first parts of social media, and we all just sent us holiday snaps instead of showing us holiday snaps, and we all just said, do you want to eat at this place? And we sent a picture of what it looked like. That was great. Oh yeah, that was really good. Now everything's out there constantly, just being posted, reposted. I think AI's got the possibility of doing the same thing. We see the positives of it now because it's new and it's exciting, and it's a massive leap forward, and it's funny. And I think when you blend humour, like you've shown me the Harry Maguire thing, which is incredible when somebody can do that. And if somebody who weren't a Man U fan would not know that weren't Harry Maguire saying that thing.
I'm not sure Ryan yet, by the way. I'll show you.
I've seen it. Obviously, I already know exactly what you're talking about.
But when you look at that as a non-Man U fan, you would definitely think that were Harry Maguire. And if you weren't really, you think he's said that, he's done that. That is frightening. Because then you're going to get to a situation where young people don't watch the news, they don't read newspapers. Everything comes through that. And it's unregulated, totally unrelegated. You can say what you want on it. You can't be prosecuted unless it's a hate crime. But I could put out there. And we have to do everything about democracy and stuff for British values. And so when we did election last year, we had to really push this democracy thing. I said, right. I said, who do I need to vote for? This was one of the questions from one of our learners. I said, well, you vote for a party that you feel that you kind of resonates with what their message is. What do you mean by that? Well, they might say something on a leaflet or a broadcast that you go, I like that. I like that person. I like what they're saying. I like the messaging. I like that. Okay. Well, I don't know not to vote for. Well, do you vote for people that, that you don't have that connection with? It says you might have lived in a family that's always been a Labour because of working background, or you've always been Conservative because of working background. I said, but that's kind of roughly how the dynamics of it would work. I said, but you can only get that information if you go to proper news sources. You can't get it through social media. Why? I said, because it's not true. I said, you can write whatever you want. I said, let's just say, I'm going to stand for an MP for Sheffield. Okay. On my social media platform, I'm going to give you free vapes until you're 18. Who's going to vote for me? Put your hand up. 76% of people put their hands up.
Yeah.
I went, okay. I get in because you lot have voted me in. I don't get any free vapes. But you said you would. I went, yeah, but I just said it on social media. I said, am I? Well, what do you mean? I went, it's not real. So it's not that though. You voted a man that's this. I might be one of the horriblest people, and you give me control just because I dropped you a little thing that I give you free vapes till 18. But because your knowledge is so shallow, because you just looked at the social media part of it, I said that's no good. I said, and that's why I worry about this getting 16-year-olds to vote, because their information stream is coming just through social media, which is unregulated. It's not coming from any other platforms, and that is equally as dangerous.
We could do a whole podcast about how politics is now using social media to kind of drive a younger vote, but it's not just in social media that happens. I mean, that happens all the time, right? Where politicians promise one thing, and then, I mean, something that is a very controversial topic is the Epstein files in America. So Trump came into power and said, "I'm going to release all the files," and then people it's one of the biggest debates in US politics right now is the fact that he promised this thing about the Epstein files, and now is kind of backtracking and delaying its. Because he's in it mainly, and they reckon, I don't know, it depends how conspiratorial you want to get, but they reckon that some of the richest, most powerful people in the world have got dirt on this case, and it could topple a lot of things, economies even, like businesses, and stock markets could crash basically because the head honcho is in this trial. So there might be a lot of ramifications for it, but people want answers, people want truth, and I think probably one of the good things about the information age is people are able to get this now much better and seek out and see through bullshit a lot more than they were before. So there's pros and cons to all this stuff.
I think once you get to an age where you and I think obviously you're very much, and I think even younger than your age, that mid-20s, I think when you get life experience, working with different people, understanding that she can be a cow sometimes, he can be this, and all that lot, and you've got a little bit of life experience, I totally honestly agree with you, because you'll see the bullshit. But I think when you've not got that life experience, you're not. And I think if they start being really clever and the influencers start being politically motivated, that's where I worry about it going there. Because if you, let's say, got, I don't know, Molly May or Kardashians in America also really coming out strongly, then all of a sudden that young group of people that have been given a vote at 16 or at 18 are going to go, well, if that person says that, I'm going to follow them, because I follow them, I have their makeup line, I have this, I have that, I really like what they say, I really like this, I'm going to follow what they do without really understanding why they're doing it. And then you could find yourself in a position where if the turnover, going to doomsday scenario, if the turnover for them people stops being as big through makeup lines and corporate branding, and they have to sell an idea, then that's really easy for somebody to pick up, like Muskie, who's got so much money, say, I'm going to pay you to sell my ideas, and you're going to repeat my ideas. And we all know that man's is proper batshit crazy. I want you to sell my ideas to your audience. Can you do that? And if you can do that, I'll replace all these corporate sponsorship deals you've no longer got. All of a sudden then, you've got a real frightening situation.
That might be the most Yorkshire pronunciation of Muskie.
Muskie.
I did like Muskie in America.
I can't say his name because he's the, Basil's one thing, but at least he looks, he's all right. Elon Musk is just, he's a kind of pictorial villain that he has. You remember Flash Gordon and things like that, that kind of caricature villain that had too much money. Lex Luthor in Batman.
Just needs a cat to show.
Yeah, exactly.
On a
Lex Luthor person that Lex Luthor person that for Superman or whatever, he's just that kind of person that his money's created a platform with him, with X, and he can do what he wants, says what he wants, and nobody can stop him. And he's got that much money, he can influence things that you don't think. And he's influencing a lot of things in this country.
Oh, massively, man.
And people go, oh, he's not really, but he is. He's usually.
He's also funding a lot of things in this country. There's no doubt about
and
that.
Not just this one, all over Europe. Any young, social unrest, and he's there's a film out now, isn't there? I've not watched it, but basically it's a caricature of the four richest people. Musk is supposed to be one of them, or what have you, and they go live in this big swick chalet thing. They go, right, how can we create mayhem? And the next stock markets crash and all this, and then all that kind. They basically use their money to destroy what we class as society, so that they can pick it up and control it. And although I don't think it will be as extreme as that, it's definitely feeding into society that these people are just underhandedly, and it is underhandedly, manipulating situations.
I think the fact that there's the potential to do that's quite frightening. And I can't help but feel like if people understand how they're sold to and how they are influenced, there's a lot of introspection there that I think, especially young people, but we've said our generation, mine and Ryan's, who are raising these young kids, your generation, you've got to be aware of what you're saying and how you're consuming things.
Musk is this generation's person, but it is no different to previous times. As there's always been someone in a position of power and wealth that's been able to influence heavily with what's going on. I mean, God, it could get very political now, but you're talking things like George Soros, things like that in America. He was kind of on one side of the political spectrum. You can say Elon Musk on the complete opposite side of the political spectrum.
I don't think we've had it in this country though, Ryan. Would you name, when we look at our big entrepreneurs like, Branson,
No,
Sugar,
it's funny actually. I agree over here. They've all got their own political leanings, but they're probably not as vocal around them. Whereas in America, they're quite heavy in terms of letting the society know this is where I am.
Yeah.
And the funding of stuff is always kept a little bit hush hush. But again, in the information age, it always comes out. You can't really hide that stuff nowadays.
Maybe it's just a polite Britishness about it. Where,
I think you look at actors and actresses, they've kind of, if you looked at them 15 years ago, you would never get an actor, a famous actor, mention politics, come out of political situation. And even now, you don't. You get more with music people, obviously people like Stormzy is very Labour and whatever, but you don't really get them. Because I suppose really they don't want to split their own audience.
Of course.
So it's like, well, I don't want to put people off watching my film because I don't want my film to be successful. Yep. I don't want people not to download my material because I want to sell to a wider audience. So I'm not going to put my flag on one political persuasion. Whereas I agree with America, pop stars, film artists are very politically motivated from off. And they've always been like that. And I think your entrepreneurs have always been very more politically motivated, from the Republicans of the big oil age right the way through to the new tech guys. They really do say, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, and they'll go on marches and do that. Yeah. We've never kind of had that in this country, I don't think, as much.
I think it's all well and good until Ricky Gervais comes in at Golden Globes or Oscars that he did it, and he just ripped into everyone. And I'm like, okay, fair play.
But I'm not sure that was politically motivated. I think it was just him trying to poke fun at certain things.
Oh, yeah. But all of a sudden it became very introspective for people. Like, I noticed people saying, "Oh, well, how many people have arrived on private jets? How many people have?" It's very
he's very much more. He's quite left leaning, isn't he? I think Ricky Gervais, and he's maybe he's politically motivated a little bit in terms of who he. I've not seen massive amounts of it and who he targeted with that stuff. Targeted being like a loose term, by the way, but I think. Yeah, you're right over here, and even in America, I don't know why it's a difficult coin to kind of be on either side of, because as a human being, we're allowed our political ideologies, right? We're allowed to kind of think things that represent us and maybe be vocal about those. But as someone who's in a position of influence and in the limelight, should that person be using their platform, number one, to be pushing a certain ideology? And number two, should they be able to do that because it's their view? Where do you come on that spectrum? It's hard, isn't it? I think a lot of people tune into sports because they love that team and they love that person for what they do. They probably don't want that person pushing their political views. I don't want Serena Williamson, for example, picking a name, out the kind of air. I like her as a sports person. I like her story. I've watched The King, which is a documentary about phenomenal film. Right? I like all that stuff. I think it's unbelievably motivating. But am I that bothered about her political standing? Probably not. If she tries to push it on her audience, is it going to make that much of an influence? Maybe. I don't know. People are probably more invested in her to a certain degree than I am. But my stomach's grumbling, by the way. Can you hear it? Yeah. It's been going for the past 5 minutes.
And again, I'm always cautious because I'm really keen to, in the near future, do a very politically informed one. I don't want to say politically charged, because I think there's a lot to be said about this process, and I guarantee we can go on and on, can't we?
Yeah, I think there's three blokes who have skin in the game with kids nowadays and have skin in the game with businesses. It's hard not to be very aware of what's going on. I think as I've become more as I've become a parent and as I've had more skin in the game, kind of financial wise, I think it's important that you have got an ear. You have got an ear to the kind of what's happening to the street, shall we say, in terms of the political landscape. I think it's really important. I think it is.
Well, very much, and I think it is a crossroads. Very much at crossroads, I think now, and it's from 2008 banking crash, this country has been on a very steady kind of trajectory of flatlining, and we've had Conservative, we've got Labour in there, but as a society, we're very much a flatline society from an economic growth point of view, and that's caused a lot of issues, because that then makes that social housing's not where it should be, healthcare's not where it should be, and everybody's kind of in quite a negative thought process. And I wouldn't really want to be. I have to say, I said this recently, I don't really want to be a parent at your age. I mean, I think we lived through that boom time, and we had that experience, and we had 2 really bad recessions in that period, but we also had 2 really big boom periods, and it were almost like you took the pain for 18 months, 2 years, boom, we're back in it, 4 years of glory. Took the pain, boom. This flat line is really hard to keep people motivated and keep people wanting to aspire to be better and wanting to have a better society in a time where its population is getting bigger and bigger. And so you've got less resources, more people, and no political party can really answer that, because the more people you have and the less money you have, it's only going to create one scenario, which is less public spending, less being able to help people that need helping, and that's going to create division. And I really worry about that, because I've got kids that are a generation below you. Your kids are a generation below them, so they're going to be the next one coming through. And that's I've openly talked. I'm not sure that I'll be here in 15 years' time. I think me and Kelsey, mainly led by me, are possibly looking at moving to Portugal.
Really? Yeah, I'd love to build abroad and retire abroad. I think it'd be brilliant. That, but it is strange times. But I do think that there's a few things that are certain division right now in this country, and maybe in America, potentially Europe, is bigger than it's ever been in terms of there's a lot more people middle of the line. Like 5-10 years ago, people seem to be gravitating more towards either side now, quite heavily. And I think anyone who is pretty middle of the line, like I think I am generally on most stuff, I think it's hard. It's hard to because then you get called out for being like, and because people are so extremely either side. If you're in the middle, that side sees you as that side, and that side sees you as that side. So you just, it's very, very difficult.
But that's because
politically to have your ideas.
We've removed the debating platform. And that is really, if you can't debate an idea and say, look, this is my thoughts, I'm now going to shut up and I'm going to listen to your thoughts, and then you're going to shut up and listen to my thoughts, and then we can go, we agree to disagree, I'll still have a drink with you, you're not a bad person, you just don't think what I think. Or they go, well, I'll take that on board, really, and you'll go, well, I've not really thought of it from that angle, because I've not really been in that life, so I agree with why you might think like that. Unfortunately now, the aggression and the kind of pulverising effect that we've now got is that you can't speak. And that is the worst thing possible, because what that breeds then is contentment within each group. So the group that's fighting for one thing are really getting aggressive because they're not getting what they want and they're not being listened to. And then the other group that kind of want their thing, they feel exactly the same, they're not getting listened to, and it's just building the melting pot up. And then people like Musk are just putting putting a little bit of TNT on it. Let's just go do this. Let's just post that. Let's just go and do this. And so what we've lost in this country is that ability to listen to somebody else's viewpoints. It's either my way, fucking that's it, done, highway. And that, so that's good that you're kind of in middle. But if you went into a room of quite right wing, let's strip people out of countries to X, Y, and Z, and you sat there, they'd be massively trying to recruit you and go, you've got to come with us. But they won't recruit you in the things that are good about the country. They recruit you on the negative side. And then if you're on the other side of that, they do exactly the same. They're going to turn us into a fascist, racist country. So why would you want to be one of them? I'm not sure that's all the profile, but
I think you've got to be. This is why, again, I think it's quite important today to kind of keep an ear to what's going on, because you can be swayed quite easily. And sometimes I do sometimes wonder whether people who are on those right and left sides quite extreme started off with quite middle of the line views, and over time they had their views change, and over time you become part of this camp and this team, and we're very tribal in our kind of views, and all of a sudden you're looking around going, my views weren't like this when I first started, but this is my team now. Like I'm blue through and through. I'm red no matter who. Like these little quotes that people use to be defined by a team. We see it in football, right? We see it in like this is me and you, for example. We can have a lovely conversation right now. But if United versus Liverpool was on,
if I were in your house on Sunday, I tell you what, that Ed would have gone in and I'd been asked to leave.
I probably would have invited you in before game as well. But we're tribal, right? We're tribal in that, and I think this really is what it all comes down to. Being able to put those differences aside and say, right, can we have a normal conversation, a normal debate? Instead, we've got this cesspit of Twitter, of X, if you want to call it that, of like Threads, Instagram, every social media platform that's like a cesspit of interactions and confrontations and debates. Never really get anywhere. It's just horribleness, all crammed into 140 characters. Like this is what it's come to now. We're not having these kind of like quite coherent debates from left to right, and that maybe has helped separate and polarise the views over time.
And again, you've got to think where fashion came out at 1920s depression and what have you, which then formed obviously, Nazi party. So we're living in a time where people have not got the money, they've not got the things, they're frustrated, they feel like they're not being listened to. That's the same scene as what all these kind of really bad things that have happened to us. And we've got to be really careful that. And the medium now being able to just put stuff out by X and what have you, is that we don't allow very normal, what I would say, family orientated. I want to look after the poor and disabled. I want people to get hospital treatments and not be on a bed for 14 hours in a corridor. I want all that, but I also want to have a very kind of what I would class as a British kind of way of life. What's wrong with saying that?
Yeah, just another brief interruption there. Again, very.
We'll have to get that fan, mate. The cameras killed us this podcast, but we'll get it sorted.
But again, Mark, just to thank you for your time, your views. I genuinely think that I've just briefly said this off camera and off mic that I feel like you're built for podcasting. You've got these, these really this willingness to listen, but then willingness to prompt people's thoughts as well. So I do really, really appreciate your effort. I appreciate our chats when we train, and just your willingness to adapt. I think it's mega, and it goes to show in not only your career, I suppose, how you've adapted. And Ryan, have you got any final questions for Mark before we?
No, mate. Just I think I've answered all things I want to, or asked all things I want to ask. But honestly, mate, thank you for today.
No, thank you.
Thank you for being so open, so candid, and who knows? I feel like there might be a part 2 with this one, because there's so much we can discuss. But maybe get something penciled in. Love to come back.
Really enjoyed it. Again, a couple of swallows outside and what have you. But no, I really enjoyed it, and spending a couple of hours having a chat about things. But we need to be on the table, though.
Yeah. I stopped drinking in January.
Did you? You covered alcohol free then?
I'm alcohol free now, yeah. But I'll get some beers for next time. How about that? We'll maybe do an evening one or something, and go out on the town afterwards.
Exactly. Definitely.
Guys, thank you for joining us on the Fit Dads podcast. See you next one.
See you soon.